Is it working? I've been struggling through this, and I think it's working. Okay, sweet. Hey everyone, Tin Man here, back with some more Dota Underlords. Sorry for the delay. We were hoping to get started 20 minutes ago, but you know, technical difficulties are an issue. Alright, yeah, we had to, my software is constantly crashing. I've been having some bad technical luck the past couple days, for a number of things. My streaming software here, OBS, is just like chain crashing. I would reopen it and it would just crash again. And it was like stuck on recording. So I had to like force kill it, which probably bugged something else up. Alright. So, we're going to be casting the... we're going to be casting the... ESL Mobile Open. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled right now. Hey everyone, Brandon and Juno, how's it going? It's going all right. Well, we fought through some annoying technical difficulties, and that means I missed the first game of this, so I'm gonna have to fill some dead air for here for a little bit. But that's alright. It's better than staring at a blank screen. So, yeah. It's been a bad couple days in terms of like technical issues for me. I've had my computer blue screen on me more than once in the past 3 days. Which probably tells me I should probably be looking to get a new computer at some point. And then other issues with my graphics drivers not working. So, you know, technical difficulties. But we're here. We finally mostly got them all sorted out. But I'll be casting the ESL Mobile Open. I'm in a lobby of players, but I am I will be they're already in game 1. And there's 5 games tonight, so we missed the start of game 1, unfortunately. But we'll be in for game 2 and 3, and 4 and 5. So still lots of games to go. But in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the changes that have happened the past couple days that I haven't really got to like make videos on or really talk about because I've been busy with some other projects. Other projects kind of related to Underlords, but not really things I can share details with right away. But those have been taking up a lot of my time and keeping me away from putting out quite as much content as I would have liked to, in terms of videos or other or like writing guides and stuff like that. I just have not had the time. Unfortunately, they made a rule that there's only 24 hours in a day, and despite the fact that I'm really busy and got a lot of things to do, they have not changed that rule yet. And you know, I got to take that up with whoever's making that rule. But in the meantime, we're here now. So there's been 2 updates the past couple days that I haven't really got a chance to really talk about or really like dig into a whole lot, or like really test out myself, because I haven't played too terribly much the past couple days either. We've got Dr. Eno's hotfix. So I did make a patch note video about this Eno announcing a small tweak, which was ironically the biggest patch of the past couple days, by a healthy margin. I mean, it's bigger than these 2 patches combined. So that one made Dr. Eno's Soothing Balm become like a global effect that heals all allies, and the healing actually got buffed. And yeah, he just became really powerful, I thought. I feel like the Soothing Balm Dr. Eno was very strong after this update. But then we went into a day or two later. I guess it was just one day later. They realized, oh crap, he is really strong. And they decided they nerfed him pretty quickly. They upped the death spin for the damage dealing Eno. But they nerfed the healing, I mean, rather substantially. That's about 30 or 40%? No, that can't be right. 20%. A little more than 20. 20 to 30%. Something like that. Math is hard when you're doing it on stream and live. And then they also changed all out attack, and then they changed it even more. They completely messed it all up here. Shout out to your wife Chal, Juno, who's just listening to the stream while she's busy working. Well, you know, keep on doing good work. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. So this was a really big update here on the 6th, which was just today actually. Oh god, this feels like this was days ago because my brain has just been frazzled. Is probably the best word to describe it. It feels like this update came out days ago, but I didn't. It was just this morning apparently. So they've nerfed the death spin back to even weaker than it was before it got buffed. God, they need to figure that out. So it was 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, and then it went up to 35, and then back down to 25. They gotta figure it all out. I mean, that's been up and down. And then all out attack has, of course, been dramatically changed. Now, instead of looping up everybody and throwing them everywhere, or just locally people and throwing them everywhere, he just applies his poison and stuns everybody and does his damage. He just stuns them, which I don't like this change. I really don't. Hey Jason Rist, how you doing? It's been a while. Yeah, it's I feel like it's been a while, and then I look, in reality it's only been like a few days, but it still feels like it's been a while. But yeah, I've been busy with some other projects. Things are going well, just busy and hectic, and like I struggle to find time to make the content that I want to make the past week or so, but still here. It's been going well. Hope everything's going well for you guys. Hey, what's up, Dimitri? How you doing? But yeah, this all-out attack change, I don't like it. I actually liked the original incarnation of it. Yeah, it was really strong. But I felt like it just didn't need to apply 5 stacks of poison. If it literally just like took everybody up and threw them all up, spread randomly, but just like applied 1 stack of poison or no poison, I feel like people wouldn't have been that upset about it because they would actually see that their comps could like realistically win fights after that poison came out. But instead it's like 5 stacks of poison over its duration deals like 375 magic damage or physical damage. So like when it says, oh, he deals 50 physical damage to everyone, he actually deals 425 with this at the lowest level. And like I think that's where people thought, oh, this is way too strong because he throws everybody away. It wasn't really the positioning mistake. I think it was more the 5 stacks of poison. And made people think that, oh, they can't win even if they're out of position. When they can, they just can't win if they're out of position and have 5 stacks of poison on them. So I'm not a big fan of this change. I kind of wish they had just nerfed the poison stacks instead of changing it to stunning. I just feel like it loses a lot of its flavor and a lot of its like uniqueness. And now it's just like a boring AoE stun. So I don't know. Yes, I do have some new projects on. So I've been working well, I've been working with my normal stuff with QIHL to write some articles for them. Been doing some of this ESL stuff. Since that's what I'll be doing today, is casting the ESL Mobile Open. Since I did have some technical difficulties trying to get the stream started, I did miss Game 1, but there's going to be 5 games. So once these guys get out of Game 1, they'll take a little bit of a break, and then I'll be ready to hop in for Game 2. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern until then. And then another thing that is related to Underlords, but not something I can really talk too much about yet because it's still very not finalized, and I don't want to give any false impressions or false hopes. So honestly, all things Underlords related, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, it's just been sucking up some of my time. Hey, what's up, Cool Gate? Stream early today? Well, it's 6 p.m. for me, 6:30. So it's nice in the evening for me. I don't really have a very set stream time, but it's normally sometime around now for me, sometimes in the evening. Expecting a lot of Knights compositions. You think so? I haven't played like the past 3 or 4 days. Like I literally have played like 1 game in the past 4 days, I think. So I'm a little rusty, which is like weird to say, like, oh, a 3 or 4 days off is like not that long in like the grander scheme of things, but it feels like it's been a while. I need to refresh myself on the current state of balance of everything. Knights comps, they have been buffed. They went up to 15, 22, 28. They do seem pretty good. I think I've had some more and more success with warrior-based builds. I had a video out, I think the last time I actually played a game was with that video where I played a warrior comp to pretty good results. So I'll be very curious to see what comes of it, because this is going to be a pretty strong lobby with everyone who got through the open qualifiers and now into the closed qualifiers, so they're all pretty strong players. Stream schedule going at some point once the game's officially released. I hope so. It's like, I don't know, I struggle with schedules. Me and schedules don't get along. I'll just say that. on a personal level, me and schedules just don't agree. I have like this planner that like my parents got me for Christmas, right? That like I can like, write stuff in and have dates and whatnot. Notice how much I use it. Not at all. But I have it, and it's sitting right next to me to kind of encourage me to use it. But I've had, I don't know, I've just always been one that, like, struggles to schedule things, and instead I just, like, keep everything in my head. Partially so that whenever things go wrong, I can just say, I wasn't planning on doing that anyway. Give myself an easy out. But it's been a struggle of mine, is to schedule things and stick to schedules for a long time. So, yeah. We'll see what I can do when the game officially releases. I'm really hoping for some big changes. I mean, obviously we saw some hints about Season 1 coming up from that PC Gamer article. So that was pretty cool. I'm hoping for some other cool changes coming up as well. Hey, what's up, Gunnar? How you doing? I have a question, though. What is my daily job? My daily job is content creation for Dota Underlords. It's kind of doing what I'm doing right now, but also writing on the side. I write for QIHL, write articles over there, which reminds me I need to write an article tonight/tomorrow, and probably another one, actually, so I probably need to make 2 more by the end of the week. Once again, that whole schedule thing. Also, I just make other YouTube content, which I've been slacking on a little bit the past couple days. And yeah, so that's what I do. I make content, for a living, which is not that great of a living, but I enjoy doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can. Hey, great. Open forwarding works great, which is why you hate doing it. I've been dabbling a bit more in like at least semi-open fort strategies, at least for the first like 5 rounds, and it's been. I try to avoid it as much as possible, but sometimes it's correct and it's strong. Same with schedules, and you have a full-time corporate job. One word to help that: Google Calendars and Google Tasks. Really? Really? I'll have to try it. I'll try it out. I mean, I have like the calendar and tasks thing on my phone, which is an iPhone, so it's Apple. But like, I don't even do that. Yeah, and then a Discord chat. You mentioned a Discord chat. I've been meaning to get a Discord server up and running, but it's been lower on the priority list recently. But yeah, that's. I think that would definitely help. Time management with Google Calendar, it changed everything. I'll take your word for it. It does seem really good, and something that I may need to put a bigger priority on. It's like if you invest the time initially to kind of get yourself organized, get yourself started on like being organized and being on a schedule. Yeah, you might be a little bit less efficient at first because you obviously put the time in initially, and it's like a struggle to get used to the new schedule. But I bet it would pay dividends in the very quickly. You'd very quickly start saving more time. Yeah, send me a slide deck regarding the time management. That would be sweet. Yeah, I would love to see that. If you want to send it to an email, I don't know if that works best. You can send it over to my email. Just link it here for you. My email I use for a lot of things. But if you want to send anything about that, I'd be happy to take a look. Sorry, just coordinating with the people to figure out when they're getting close to being done with the game, so we can get into casting game 2. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, Jason. Really do. Hopefully that'll help. But yeah, like it's been something that's been on my mind to figure out how to live life on a better schedule. So, oh well. In any case, we'll be getting into this game soon. So they should have started at 6, and it's now 6:36. So they're probably getting close to being done, and then we'll get in. So I'd imagine in the next 5 or 10 minutes we'll be getting the game. Motion designer and creative director, so totally understand how gnarly it can be. Yeah. They allow me to compete in any upcoming competition, so I have nothing that like explicitly says I'm not allowed to. And actually, like rereading the contract I have with ESL, and for example, I probably could have competed in this tournament. I didn't think I could because I knew I would be casting these closed qualifiers. But what I didn't realize is that these closed qualifiers, they're kind of in the same format as the first, as like the open ones, where you can play in any or all of them, and then it's like the top point earners move on to the next stage. And so I thought, well, I didn't realize that. I thought it's like you had to play in every single one or be elimination at this point. That's not true. That comes in phase 3, which I'm not casting. So technically I could have played in this ESL tournament, but I legitimately did not even realize that I could have until today, when they already made the cut to the top half here. So yeah, that was annoying. Well, it wasn't annoying, but it would also have been difficult because like I would not be able to play in all of these closed qualifiers because I would be, you know, I would be casting for at least one of the days, so it would be weird. But I currently don't have anything that restricts me from playing in tournaments. It's just I haven't found that most tournaments are substantial enough, like bang for your buck, like potential payout for like the time required to do it. I felt like my time would be better invested making content or writing articles or working on some other side projects that I have, or just doing something else rather than competing in some of the tournaments. First comp they'll have once the game releases have a significant prize pool. I hope so. I hope so. I haven't heard any even like whispers of like what their competitive scene may or may not look like once it comes out. I know they're probably thinking about it, but I like Valve. By they, I mean Valve. But I don't know, because Valve often has a history of I won't say outsourcing, but like letting third parties kind of take the reins on the tournament scene. And like Valve only really steps in for like the international for Dota, but they like let the third parties like handle the majors and minors, for instance. So I don't know how involved they're gonna get. I hope they get involved. Hope they at least show that there can be some life there, but we'll see. Miss Bebe, yeah, Bebe was sweet. He's a very, very good player. Going back to the Dota Auto Chess days as well. I remember playing against him in Dota Auto Chess, and man, he was unstoppable. And then of course in Underlords, and now I guess he's playing Hearthstone. But yeah, he was a really good player. Marketing doesn't make sense. They need to do something drastic. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. That would be a really good move. I think if they made like a big push, like they say, hey, this is a new game, here it's released. It's got all these sweet new features. Oh, and in like a month or two from now, you know, because if it releases February 25th, and if they say like the end of March / beginning of April, there's going to be like a huge tournament, you know, give people like a month to get into it and start playing. I think that would be insane. I think that would be really, really, really cool. Maybe, you know, I don't know the exact time frame of like what it takes to organize one, but somewhere in that vein. Yeah, they did that with Dota 2 and it worked. Yeah, that would be really good if they could do that. I'm really surprised that no one's readied up yet. They must still be in game. Maybe they started a touch later than 6. But yeah, that would be really good if they could do something like that. I think that would be. I mean, obviously from my perspective, that'd be great. Even if I play in it or if I'm just casting it, that would be awesome. You know, because I think that may be a more stable career. I don't know. Stable motive is like being a caster for tournaments rather than always competing in them. Because like the way I see it, if you're casting a tournament and you cast the event, like at the end of it, you're always happy and satisfied that, hey, I got to cast the tournament and it was sweet and I did what I wanted to do, and assuming nothing goes horribly wrong, like assuming it, you cast it, I don't know what could go that horribly wrong. You always feel pretty good about it yourself at the end of it. Whereas if you're playing in it, anything less than first place like feels bad. And yeah, I'm still competitive, but like I'm also like pragmatic that it seems like it's a lot better value to be casting tournaments, and the number of like good Underlords casters is kind of low compared to the number of good players. There's a lot of really good players. There's not a whole lot of really good casters. So I think I may be more valuable in that space. So that's why I would hope for a nice tournament scene. That would be pretty sweet. So sorry for a bit of a delay here. We're still waiting for this group to finish up their first game, and then we'll be able to hop in for games 2 through 5 with them. And that'll be really cool for the ESL Mobile Open closed qualifiers here. I was gonna put that in the title, but then I said Phase 2 qualifiers instead, because I'm literally typing it out. I'm going ESL Mobile Open closed. I don't know about that. I don't feel like I can put those two words together. So I said Phase 2 qualifiers instead of closed. Hey, somebody's readied up. Okay, sweet. So there must be out of game. They must be out of game by now. Sweet. So I don't know the results of game 1. Unfortunately, I don't have access to their Discord channel or their like results channel, so I won't know what happened in game 1. But we'll see. Casting's definitely a good path. Dota, CS:GO casters make great money. Yeah, they definitely do. Definitely analysis more than hype casting or like play-by-plays. Definitely been doing more analysis work. Especially, I mean, in Underlords, most of my experience has been analysis side of things, or solo casting, which is what I'm doing here, which kind of you have to do a little bit of both. Like you have to like talk to yourself in a way, but definitely the analysis side, the color commentary. Hey, what's up, Joshua? How you doing? Is there a way to see how MR is calculated in knockout mode? I feel like it's super weird. Are you Lord rank, Joshua? If you're not Lord rank, it should always follow this same formula, right? It should always follow this set schedule. But if you are Lord rank, I don't know. I do not know how that works. I really just haven't the foggiest. I would assume it's just like some kind of ELO formula where you have a ranking behind the scenes, or I guess you have it in front of the scenes. But then you take every opponent's, like if they're in Lord rank or Big Boss rank. But I don't know how that works because they're like dramatically lower. Honestly, I got nothing. I don't know how that works. So, sorry I can't be of more help. I definitely wish it would be more clear as well, even in just standard mode, because that is frustrating sometimes whenever you feel like you get up into a lobby against a lot of lower ranked players, and it's like, even if I get like second or third place, you potentially lose ranking. So I do not know. Feels not correct. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I haven't the foggiest clue. Like, what's especially throwing me off too is just like, oh, I could just say there must be. If I just said, oh, you have got your number, you know, whatever your rank point number is, they just like average out the whole lobby, and then however much above or below you are, they like take a multiple of that, and then like it's a pretty straightforward algebraic expression, just like you know, find the average minus your rank divided by, I don't know. I know in Dota Auto Chess it was like divided by 17, and then it did some plus or minus from there. But the fact that your Lord ranking points like doubles from 7,600 up to 15,000, like 7,600 doesn't exist. It really just goes like 7,599 to 15,000. It's just, I don't know how that calculation works in. It's just, I couldn't even take a guess at it. That's just a super weird wrinkle to the whole calculation thing. In Before Lord, it's possible to get 110. Well, what's probably happening there is you're probably hitting the minor rank bonus points. Is probably what's happening. So if you get first place and you advance from Big Boss 4 to Big Boss 5 with that advancement, you're going to get 115 points. Because you're going to get your first place points, and that bumps you up a minor rank, which is like Big Boss 4 to 5 or 1 to 2, 3 to 4, etc. Then you're also going to get the 15 bonus points right here. And that's obviously a weighted lower end. So this basically says if you are going average, if you're going like 50-50 in terms of results, you're actually going to climb a little bit. As long as you're hitting like a level up, you're going to get some bonus points that you won't lose. Like a first and an eighth, in theory, should cancel each other out. But if that first bumps you up above a minor tier, you're going to get 115 and you're only going to lose 100. And the next time you go back up that minor tier, you get another 15 points. And so on. So it makes it a little bit easier to climb. So that's kind of like a little bit of a... helps to push people up the ranks for just playing the game and like being... like just break even on it. At least until you obviously get up into the very high ranks and the Lord Void Spy rank. Still waiting for 2 more people to ready up here. But once they do, we will be into game number 2. I'm really curious to see where players prioritize Eno now that he got changed earlier today. I had made a tier list of like the Underlord talents over on QHL, and so like it got published, and then like literally 3 or 4 hours later, they changed Eno. And I was just like, really? I just made this. It just got published. And they got to go and change him. So I'll have to see. I'll have to see where everybody evaluates that. And that's one of the main things I'm going to be looking for today. Hey, what's up, Vin? How you doing? Still haven't cracked Lord rank. Feels pretty darn impossible of a grind. It is hard. It's hard. I totally agree. It's been a while since I've had to do it. I've only had to grind to Lord rank twice. It was like once initially, and then when they did a soft reset with the big update, I think it was, when they introduced the Underlord characters themselves. And then I had to grind back from like Big Boss 1, I think, up to Lord again, and it was rough. It was a grind. You were Lustrial in the lobby. Well, good luck. You were in this lobby. We were just about to get started here. There you are. Good luck. We'll follow you for a little bit. Why not? All right. Welcome, everyone, to the ESL Mobile Open Closed Qualifiers. It's open and closed, just like a real qualifier should be. We'll be following Lustrial here, but we got a pretty strong lobby with 4 Lords Whitespile, including Abnecide, Ziggy, M. Knight, Cost Blue, Lustrial, Nexus, and Forensic, as well as Agnieszka Bot. That's a name. I think. Normally it's like things make sense or are recognizable names. I don't know what to make of that one. So I'm just going to pretend I didn't see that. And we're going to try to avoid talking about the bots because they're hard to pronounce. Too many changes, can't establish solid builds and strategies. Yeah, that's one thing that I hope Season 1 comes with and brings a little bit more stability in terms of... I mean, you still want some balance changes to like shake up the meta a little bit here and there, but like dramatic meta shifting changes every week gets a little bit... Ugh. Hey, what's up, Free Mark? How you doing? Haven't played in ages. Can you tell me why Lord rank says level 1? Lord rank says level 1. No. I don't know why. It could say a 0, which just means you haven't played like enough games recently to be placed on the leaderboard, which is actually what we see a couple of the players here be. But if it says level 1, no, I don't know what that could be. That's really weird. I'm not sure. Where does it say that? In game or like on the home screen or where do you see that? That might give me a better clue. In any case, we do see Lost Trial here going for, well, it does have a 2-star Shadow Demon. It is pretty strong, actually the only 2-star on the board, so clearly like anti-caster cursed, where whoever we're watching gets the upgrades instead of not getting them. It says Lord Voidspire level 1 when you click play next time you queue up. I have never seen that, so I do not know. I would either like submit that as a bug or do something to bring that to a developer's attention, because I couldn't tell you. I've never heard of that. Alright, going up against Cost Blue here, who does level up to level 4, and that makes a lot of sense because Blue has still has a win streak, has won the first 2 rounds at 100% life, and has a reasonably strong comp with a 2-star Tiny, Trolls, and Knights, and thinks they can continue a win streak here. Looks like that's actually going to happen, and Blue is actually going to take a little bit of an advantage here. Gets on a win streak, so does Frenzic, and Ziggy has the potential to as well up against Nexus. Looks like Ziggy is not just barely losing to the Witch Doctor, but Frenzic and Blue both start off strong with a 3-round win streak. Nobody going for an open fort strategy here, which is good, I would say, because I don't like open fort strategies. I don't think they're good for the game. So glad that's not a thing we've got to worry about in this particular game. Let's take a look at what some of these strategies players might be going for. Let's take a look at Frenzic at the top here. Frenzic has a Scrappy and Insect build. No 2-stars though, which is kind of unusual for somebody who's 3-0. But Scrappy and Insect both are insanely powerful alliances, so you don't necessarily need to have them 2-starred. Like, the insects don't get any better when you have a 2-star insect, like the little spiderlings don't. So I actually like, this is looking rather convincing how strong this is, just because insects deal as much, like, they deal twice as much damage as a Weaver, which is really impactful. So no surprise to see a nice early win streak coming out there. This build probably goes into a more traditional Scrappy build, just because that's the only thing really going for them right now. But in reality, there's very little commitment here from Frenzic to keep this win streak going. Does have a pair of Tinies in the shop, as well as a Morphling here. Not sure if that's all that impactful. Tiny is a good 2-star unit, but he doesn't really fit into too many mid or late game compositions, just because Warriors are not the greatest. I mean, they have some value, but Tiny in particular is, you generally start looking away from him come the mid game in most fights. I think these insects are going to win. Yeah. Not even close. Not even remotely close Weaver 1v3s. Wow. And Scrappy's, well, insects in particular, are just so strong right now. At this point in the game. You just have 2 insects and it feels like you're a guaranteed win streak here. You don't even need to pair them up with too much else. That's what we're seeing out of Forensic here. Alright, looking around here, what do we see? We see Ziggy almost certainly going to go for a Scrappy build. Has a pair of snipers and a bunch of other the Scrappies and inventors on the bench. Blue, I'm not entirely sure where they're going. It does have a pair of Chaos Knights, that's the only real indicator, but so does like Nexus down here, who's probably, they're both kind of looking towards Knights of some sort, which I'd be very curious because not only do we have somebody predicting that Knights were going to be very popular today, looks like we may even have a couple players on it. Weaver's a great unit. I agree. I like Weaver a lot. The number of times I've seen Weaver like 1v3 or 1v4 or, you know, well, it's not really 1 because it has all the insect buddies, but it's the idea that Weaver's the last real unit alive and just seems to take so many people down. It's so strong. This game 2, yes, I do know that. I had intended to get in for game 1 and I literally like click start stream like right before 6 o'clock. And then I just get like error, my OBS crashes, and then I restart it and OBS crashes again. And then I tell them, sorry, I'm going to be a little bit late. I don't know if I can cast today. And they're like, well, okay, their game already started, so if you can figure it out by game 2, you can get in. And then I figured out I needed to like reload my graphics drivers, which I did eventually. It just took a little while. And we got in. So I had intended to cast all 5 games. We were going to get 4 of these 5 games in. Shocker. Weaver 1v2s or 1v3s. Alright. We do have somebody going Legion Commander build. Nexus here has got a nice little win streak and a 2-star Legion Commander with 5 alliances already. Oh my goodness. Including the Demon. Including Demons. I like this. I like this build a lot. Hey, what's up, Beat Monster? Do you think Eno is worth to pick? Well, that's one of my big questions coming into today. Was Eno's been changed a lot over the past 4 or 5 days, which has just also happened to coincide with the time when I've been not playing as much. I have not got as many games in the past 4 or 5 days as I typically would, just due to some other obligations and other projects I'm working on. So I really don't have a great feel for exactly how powerful Eno is right now. And I say right now because that changes like every day, it seems, now these days. So I couldn't tell you for sure. I think by the end of today, end of the stream, I'll have a better indication for you. Just because I'll have watched some very good players play it out and see where they prioritize it and see how it impacts. But I don't have a good answer right now. Insect says kills the last insect alive. No. The insects are their own thing. It's if the insect themselves gets the kill, it just goes to the abyss. It's gone forever. Just no one gets the kill if the insect gets the kill. I mean, the spiderling does, but then the spiderling disappears. It's just like if the lone druid bear gets a kill, doesn't count to lone druid. It counts to the bear. Like, in theory, this this spiderling could get a kill, but then he dies and he's gone forever. Legion? Oh, no. Oh, Legion's gonna get the kill. Just barely. I'm cheering for the Legion Commander comp, for what it's worth. I am totally cheering for the Legion Commander comp. I made no assertion that I was going to be an unbiased caster here. We are going to be cheering for who I consider to be the best unit in the game. 7 units of an actual hero, so surely the hero should get the kill. Like, no, well, it's kind of not, because they're summoned by the Insect Alliance, and the alliance has more than one hero. In the case of like Lone Druid and his bear, I totally agree it should go to the bear. But it doesn't. So yeah. Okay, so we have our first indication on the whole Eno situation. Nobody picked Eno. Nobody picked Eno. Well, none of the real players. Agnieszka bot did, but I don't think we're really going to count the bot because they're hard programmed to pick a certain Underlord every time. So yeah, we got 4 healing Nessex, who I consider to be the top tier best Underlord choice, as well as Barrels of Fun Jull, also in my top tier. And then we've got Healing Tank Jull and Friendly Fire Hobgon, who I don't really put a high value on. I think they're kind of lower tier, more specific to certain builds. But you know, if you don't have better options, then they're acceptable. Hey, what's up, Mr. Burns? How you doing?
Oh, they're going to really hate me now.
Miss my streams? Yeah, I've been... The past week has been much slower on streams for me. Sorry about that. Just product of other things going on in my life and other stuff I'm working on. Not for lack of wanting to stream. Well, sometimes it's like I'm just exhausted and I don't want to stream, but not like I don't want to stream. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Been busy. That's what I'm saying. Rabbit Furwell seems worse. Yeah. That's what the main one I was curious about. I knew that the healing Eno was like, his healing's actually really legit. It's a really powerful amount of healing. But like, it honestly can even be better than an Essex. But of course, the Essex Golem is probably higher impact than Eno's Yoink. So it's like on the balance, I think an Essex is stronger. A little bit less healing, but a much more impactful ultimate. So, well, this Legion Commander build is going on a very strong win streak. 7 wins in a row. Only has 3 dual wins on the Legion Commander, so it's not, you know, it's not the most dominant thing here. But it's going strong. Meanwhile, Frenzic, who started off with a really strong 7 wins in a row, did not complete the win streak and instead has lost the past 4, opting to go for a Scrappy focus build here, as we kind of suspected based on that early Scrappy Insect start. But the problem is that there's also some other competition for Scrappies, including from our bot player. And so that's going to make them a little bit harder to get together. They can still be really strong in the late game, but they do kind of hit a power trough right now until they get a lot of 2-stars, and even then they hit another one right afterwards. So Frenzic's really going to be under some scrutiny here, some pressure to really get things going. Nexus going up against Blue here, 2 Knights players. Well, at least 2 people with the Knights Alliance. Legion Commander does manage to barely get a win there. There is a Lone Druid on the other side, though, with a 2-star Spirit Bear that's come out that has immediately rooted up the Legion Commander. The Hobgon dealing really strong damage. So I think Friendly Fire Hobgon is lackluster in a lot of cases, but in this case, well, this early on, in this kind of long drawn out fight, where like everybody's still alive on the other side, to get hit by his bombs, like that was a big deal. That was a lot of damage from that Friendly Fire. I was impressed. You know, normally you think of this as like a mage build kind of thing, but you know, in this case, where the opponent's all nice and stacked up, that Friendly Fire can do lots of work.
Oh, this is going well now, isn't it?
Chaos Knight kind of bad with Legion Commander. He casts too quick, and I don't agree with that necessarily, because Chaos Knight has a 4-second silence on him on every demon, right? With the demon bonus is 4 seconds, but he's got a 5-second cooldown. So as long as Legion Commander, like Chaos Knight's going to cast first, generally, and then while he's under cooldown, Legion Commander is going to get her mana up, and then she'll have 100 mana, roughly, by time that 4-second silence wears off, and then she's immediately ready to cast. Just like right away. And if that's the case, I think Legion Commander actually like duels at a really good time in that case to get a kill. you know, it's not immediately at the start of the fight after, but you wait till people get worn down a little bit with the Chaos Knight Silence. So I actually think it's a really good pairing with those two. We do see the Legion Commander build at the top of the tables here, but there's another Knights build, a more heavily focused Knights build from Cost Blue, who did manage to take them down just last round. I want to focus in on this and see what they've got going on. Running Savages here, and Foreign as well did have Savages, instead opting for Trolls now instead. I think that makes sense. Trolls benefits everybody, Savages only benefits a couple Savages. And in the meantime, this Lone Druid is just going to get to 2-star every single time, it seems. Must be nice. Yeah, Hobgoblin Friendly Fire. When everybody's still relatively low on life total this point in the game, he does a lot of damage. And in a Knights build that typically is going to lack some damage output, that's pretty good. That's a very useful ability to have if you're kind of lacking some damage output, is to have a high damage Hobgoblin. So I like it. See the Knights? Yeah, you called it. You called it, Jason. Yes. Stacking Knights or Heartless is super strong. Well, we haven't seen a couple here. I wouldn't really have thought that that high damage Hobgoblin makes a lot of sense in this build, but I might be a believer here, because like one of the problems with Knights right now without Luna is a lack of damage output. And you know, what better way to fix your damage output than have a high damage Hobgoblin? I mean, I think support Hobgoblin might even deal more damage because it would give everybody the attack speed, which may be stronger if all of your guys are still alive, but I mean, that's a lot of damage. Until he gets stunned. Chain stunned down. And Legion Commander gets dual wins. Actually, this is a different opponent. This is a different Legion Commander comp. Ooh. Ooh. More than one Legion Commander comp. I mean, they got it online a little bit later. So they're going to be lacking some kills here. Just 2 dual wins, but lots of alliances, including Healer Alliance. I don't know about that one. Healer Alliance with Legion Commander, not the best of pairings. Ooh, and Lustrile gets involved with the Legion Commander game plan. I'm a fan. Everybody's going to go Legion Commander this game. I can't think of a better way to go. Not quite as many alliances in this particular build. It does have some pretty strong units though, with the 2-star Treant, 2-star Shadow Fiend, and the potential to go up to 4 Druids. Really, that would be interesting. 4 Druids, not something that you see too terribly often, but it is quite potent. 4 Druids. Probably can't go up to 4 Druids. Probably have to cut some number of brutes here. Scrappy's and Knights was top 2 in game 1. Ah, okay. Scrappy goes away in season 1. It does, yes. Yes, we do know a little bit of details about what's going to happen in season 1. Scrappy is going to be biting the dust. So, I think that's okay. They've been kind of a weird one where they've been either like super underplayed or like kind of overplayed. I think they've struggled to find a really good point on balance. You mentioned about a weird Sven positioning. I did remember seeing that. I'll have to take a look if they're still using that weird Sven positioning or what. I think they've moved away from it. But the Sven in the middle... So the logic behind that positioning... I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad logic. I'm just saying what it is. The logic for it is that their Sven is their damage dealer and wants to get into combat later. You don't want your damage dealer like up front and center, because then they're going to die really quick to taking aggro. And That's not ideal. So if you put him in the center, he's probably not going to get completely locked in.
This isn't working.
There's like no way for him to like get super locked in, where he'll never get out because you have all the knights. And by putting him in the middle, you ensure that your frontline knights are going to like kind of go out first in front of him. He can't move initially, so everyone else is going to move first. And then Sven is going to stay put, at least for like one like kind of cycle, one tick. And then he's going to come into combat a touch later and probably be able to cleave a little bit more. So I'm not like, I don't hate it, but it's not great either. It's just, it's whatever. I think there's better positionings for him, but I wouldn't like. I don't think the small change in positioning is going to really make that huge of a difference. I don't think that's an optimization that I'm like, oh, they lost the fight because the Sven positioning was bad, or they won a fight because it was bad. If so, it's kind of like a little bit random. It's not like the most likely thing. That was a really big win here by Lustrile. Really big. Did end up eventually making that swap, like I mentioned, to the 4 druids. The main catalyst there was leveling up, because last round we had 3 brutes and 2 druids, and of course here on round 18 is a very efficient time to level up for most people. So you could cut the 3rd brute and add in 2 druids in its place, because you're also going to level up. Adds in the 2 druids that were both 2-star, so now we've got the level up guarantee on Lone Druid, and then one of the 5 druids gets leveled up to 3-star. Of course, it would be nice to get that 2-star Lone Druid, so you get 2 of the 5 druids up to 3-star. Higher odds on the all-powerful Lone Druid and Legion Commander to 3. But it seems pretty good. Seems like a marked improvement here. The problem with this build, though, is it does start to fall off towards the later stages of the game, but at this exact moment, it's pretty strong. And that's really just what you want to do if you're already like kind of hemorrhaging some life total, is like, just be strong now. Like, that's mainly what you care about, is just like, get out of this round. You know, and worry about trying to transition to a stronger late game comp later. Because eventually you probably want to cut this Shadow Shaman and Enchantress, if possible. Because they're not the most efficient things for you. But they do provide some good alliances, so maybe they have a reason to stay, the Trolls and the Savages, but yeah, even so. Positioning with knights is a deciding factor. The problem is, I kind of agree with you, but at this point in the game, what I guess I meant to say is that because there's 6 other players in the game, 7 normally, but there's a bot here, there's 6 other players. A slight positioning difference, like, okay, like, I don't know, like, this Witch Doctor could be on the outside or a Shadow Shaman could be on the outside. Like, you could swap these two, right? And, like, no one would say anything that, oh, this one's right, this one's wrong. It's like, I don't know. They may make a difference. Like, if you just, like, go, like, freestyle mode and try, like, 2 different positionings like that, you might find a difference. But trying to, like, abstractly say that, oh, this is better, like, and scout out against 7 other people, which one's stronger? I think it's just like a very low impact decision. Things like that. So as long as it's like acceptable, at this point in the game, I don't like put too much stock into it. I don't say like, oh, you need to like be super worried about your positioning on round 20. As long as it's fine, you know, like I think you've achieved the bulk of the points there. You know, as long as it's not egregiously wrong. Yeah, you may be able to optimize if you know your exact opponent, but that doesn't generally come until later in the game. High roll Legion Commander 3-star to around at 15. Yeah, that would be really nice, wouldn't it? Sorry, my nose is like really itchy. So sorry I've been like scratching at it a lot. I don't know why. It's been really weird. Anyway, big time contract required. Yeah, I kind of hope they make more of those in Season 1. I think they kind of alluded that we might get some new items. I'd like to see like other kind of big time contract like effects for other alliances. Kind of like how you have like the spatula items in TFT, where it's like here's an item that will turn this unit into a different alliance. Like, I think that would be really cool for some other alliances. Maybe not every alliance, but like some other ones. There's a 3-star Legion Commander here, but it's not quite as dominant as we would kind of hope. It got its duel off, and now it's just doing 500 DPS. Only. Which, like, actually is surprisingly not that much. I think Legion Commander might get a second duel here. I think she will. No, she's gonna get assassinated. Oh, she was about to get a second duel off. Dang it. Dang it. She didn't get assassinated there. I think she's getting a second duel. Are they going to bring back units they got rid of? Some. I think they did mention Arc Warden in particular. I honestly hadn't read that full PC Gamer article. Where they kind of went through some of it. But I did read the comments of it on Reddit, which is basically like reading the whole article. And somebody did mention that that they mentioned Arc Warden was coming back. So I think Arc Warden will, and that probably means that others will as well. God, I really don't want to have to read through all of this, but I would suspect yes, that if Arc Warden is coming back, then some other ones will as well. All right, so blue here has picked up a Troll Warlord already, which is pretty darn strong. Has a Refresher Orb on Shadow Shaman. Why isn't the Refresher Orb on Sven? Does that work? I don't know. I haven't tested that, but I kind of want to now. But just as I say that, goodbye blue. 7th place for you. Hey, that kind of rhymed. That was weird because that was a build that didn't look too terrible on paper. This Knight's build, but yeah, does it get taken out pretty handily by Lustriel here, who is in first place in terms of life total after Nexus took a little bit of a hit there. Legion Commander, even a late to the party Legion Commander, relatively speaking, can still be really strong. 44 damage from duels. In the meantime, other Legion Commanders have 104, so it is a little bit late. But that's not the worst thing here. What I'm more interested in is over on M Knight's side here. It's a player we haven't really looked at. Is running an assassin build. The only assassin player at the table. Does have 2 3-stars, the Queen of Pain and the Bounty Hunter, with the Alchemist, but does not quite have 6 assassins. It's still running just 5 assassins, which is obviously not nearly as efficient as getting all 6, because you get the increased crit chance. But Queen of Pain just, oh boy, she hits so hard. Does her big scream, and then what's her DPS? Goes up to like 700 some DPS, not to mention the crits. Yeah. This Quap though. This Quap is good. 3-star Queen of Pain. Strong stuff. Why did they get rid of half the units? They didn't get rid of half the units. They got rid of some. Just because the unit pool was too big, essentially. So if you just have a bunch of units, like let's say you put in every hero from Dota into Underlords. Let's say you put literally all 140-ish, I think it was about 140-ish heroes of Dota in Underlords. You'd have like 30 or 40 tier 1 units, which would just make it basically impossible to ever find a 2-star unit because you just have so many options in the shop. So that would so they needed to keep the unit pool size roughly where it's been, because that's like just like a good point for it. And so that's every time they add a new unit, they basically have to think about removing a unit to kind of keep parity for that reason. And so whenever they added more units, such as the guys from the big update, like the Brutes, or the Outlanders update, the Spirits, they had to make some cuts. So they'll be doing another rotation, probably cutting some. They'll be cutting like scrappies and adding in some of the units they took out, maybe some new units. Don't even know yet. In the meantime, we're down to our final 4 here, as Frenzic and Ziggy, both players going after the 6 scrappy build, don't really get it all together here. 6 Scrappy is notoriously weak against something like Queen of Pain 3-star, who can just deal lots of big AoE magic damage. And we also realize there's 4 Anesix Golems in the top 4. That's going to be pretty strong. Abnecide here. That's a big yo. That's a 2-star Troll Warlord. With 4 Troll build, with a Legion Commander build. How many kills on a Legion Commander? 72 bonus damage. That's pretty decent. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's not bad. And we've got a 2-star Troll Warlord who's probably just going to carry these fights. So a lot of Knights, a lot of Legion Commanders, a lot of Anesix in these final 4 here this game. The dueling Legion Commanders, turns out that the Legion Commander who already has more damage and has a Butterfly, yep, does win out over the one who has just a Crystallis. And that's actually just going to be a chain reaction effect. This Legion Commander is never going to die now, and this is going to be a massive loss for the 2-star Troll Warlord build. Abnecide is getting demolished. They might get eliminated here. 19, okay. Well, let's not get that crazy. Not quite that much, but still, dang. That is crazy. That is crazy. They do pick up a Butterfly, which is a really big improvement for this Troll Warlord, but so does everybody else. Everybody else picks up a Butterfly or a Moon Shard, so like no real net gain there. I mean, obviously Butterfly is really good on the 2-star Troll Warlord, but or on the Legion Commander. I still want it on. I think I still want Butterfly on Troll Warlord just for the attack speed. Alright, in the meantime, these are a lot of, like, except for the Assassin build, obviously, these are, like, relatively similar builds with either, I guess they don't all have Knights, but they all have Trolls. They all have 4 Trolls, actually. That's what's really similar. There's all 4 Trolls everywhere. For everybody except the Assassins. So, it's kind of unusual. There's been a long time since I've really seen, like, 4 Troll builds be so popular. Normally it's just like you splash 2 Trolls. But hey, it's working really well for him here. It's really working well for 3 of our 4 competitors, except of course the Assassins. Looks like Nexus is going to go just down here. The healing comes out for Lustriel here and is able to take down Nexus. Not going to eliminate them as they're still up at 46 life. And Abnecide and M-Knight bring it even more even. And we got a real close one on our hands for the top 4. Nexus at 33 life. Lustriel here at 33, or at 11, sorry. And then 9 and 8 for Abnecide and M-Knight. So very close. Yeah, I feel like this game really could go anyway. All of these builds seem very strong. Like I said, the first 3 seem fairly similar, all with Legion Commander plus 4 Trolls of some variant, and then either with Knights or Druids or what have you. So I don't really know how this is going to go. We'll see if the Assassins here can take down M-Knight. Or sorry, if Nexus can take down the Assassins with M-Knight here. It looks to be the case, as Nexus is going to take a big hit, and it's going to be even more. 22! Oh my goodness. Let's hop over to the other board real quick, and it looks like Abnecide wins, and Lustriel unfortunately gets eliminated in 4th place here. These fights can be really swingy in that, you know, you get one good, like, frontline push. Like, whose Legion Commander wins the duel first? And silences the other. Who gets a good, like, Lone Druid Bear route or what, and just can, like, snowball the fight really dramatically one way or the other. Whereas a little bit different luck would easily, like, would bring it to the other way. The other player would win. It's really close. Hey, what's up, Jesper? You really enjoyed the stream? Well, thank you for coming and watching the stream. Really do appreciate it. And Jason Rest, you gotta go. Alright, well, thank you so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And nice little chat earlier, so I'll definitely take some of what you said to heart. Looks like M-Knight does knock out Abnecide here in 3rd place. And we've got an Assassins versus... Actually, we may just have Assassins just taking the win here. If Nexus loses to Abnecide, looks like there's not even gonna be another round. Is this lone druid's easy going to survive? That's going to be game.
Logical explanation.
Alright, look at that. Just barely, the assassins take down the crown against 3 people running 4 trolls and Legion Commander. Turns out the correct play is to just play assassins against that and, you know, get 3-star Queen of Pain and 2-star Dragon Knight and all that fun stuff. But yeah, good stuff there. M Knight takes down the win in a very close game. And I think the main takeaways here are the popularity of 4 trolls, the popularity of a Nesix, and the lack of popularity of Eno of this game. We'll have to see how that develops. We still have 3 more games coming to you for the rest of this evening. I'm going to ready up here, but I'm going to take a very quick break and go grab something to drink. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully I'll be back in time for this next game. Alright, sweet. They didn't start yet. Wanted to come back into the middle of round 1 or round 5. Oh well. One, 2, 3 more people to ready up, and then we'll be good to go for game 3. I'll say that first game, I mean, I'm glad that Assassins won because the rest of the lobby felt a little samey, a little homogenous. Like, I honestly just, like, couldn't, like, find, like, what was the big difference between all the comps. Like, I guess on paper I could have figured it out. But, like, just at a quick glance, I'm like, these are all the same comps. So I didn't really feel like I had a good indication of, like, which one was better, which one was worse. Or, like, any kind of, like, storyline I could really craft around that. So I'm kind of glad that, that the odd man out, the lone assassin player, is able to take that down. Just from that perspective alone. 2 more people, Nexus and Abnaside here. Can get things, once they ready up, we can really get things going here. At, for some of these games, I'm probably going to be a little bit less on the chat interaction end and more kind of laser focused doing the full casting. Just so I can, because I want to be able to clip some of this out for standalone video, kind of like I did with last cast. But I think I still got, I'll probably do that for Game 4, Game 5, I think. Maybe I'll do it here. We'll see. I'm glad I didn't do it for that first game, because I wouldn't have been really thrilled with it. And I was kind of a scatterbrain mess. So I feel like I wasn't on top of my game for that one. Alright, maybe I'll actually do that here. So a little bit less chat interaction for this one. Hey everyone, Tinman here. We have got Game 3 of the closed qualifiers of the ESL Mobile Open closed qualifiers. Yeah, so we've got a 7-player lobby here, all with players who finished very well in the open qualifiers, and so only the top half of those players advanced here into the closed qualifiers. But of course that makes an odd number, and so we've just got 7 players in here. We've got 4 players in Lord of Whitespire, as well as 3 players who are also still very strong but not quite Lord rank, and Agnieszka Bot, which is a weird name. You know, we're not going to pay too much attention to the bot here. Everyone has decided to play all 3 units on the first turn, so no open fort strategy, and I think that's pretty good because I don't think anyone really wants to see open fort strategies, certainly not in a tournament cast. So this game, this tournament, this round comes after a whole bunch of changes recently to the Underlord Enno, who's the most recently released one, and I'll be very curious to see exactly how much or how highly the players put a priority on picking up Enno, whether they value him in either of his forms very highly. I know his healing form, the Dr. Enno, or Healin' and Stealin', does a whole lot of healing, but does struggle with Yoink not being that impactful, and is honestly just a little bit lower impact than, say, like healing support in Essex, just in general. Or the Rabid Furball Enno, who have the all-out attack that has been nerfed and then adjusted and then just completely reworked, all in the span of the past couple days. So it'll be interesting to see if how that's going to play out. It no longer randomly displaces players or units, it rather just stuns them for a few seconds but leaves them in place. Still applying poison to everybody though. So still is very impactful damage-wise, but a little bit less impactful kind of mischief-wise. So we are following M Knight here, who does have a 2-star Clockwork on round 2, and that is exceedingly powerful, and even has a tank item for them, the Talisman of Evasion. Now this, I really put a high priority on tank items, and I think a lot of these players will as well, in the early game. Not only because they're just very efficient, but also because there's just not that many tank items later in the game. There's not that many good ones at tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4. They're mostly better damage items coming in later tiers, especially at tier 3 and 4. So if you want to play defensive tank items, the best things you're going to get are the Talisman Evasion and the Chainmail, which are going to get very early on. So good to see that picked up. And this 2-star Clockwork is probably just going to feel pretty much unstoppable. And I would be surprised if M Knight does not level up here, because they did win the first 2 rounds. And you probably want to keep a win streak going here. Depends on what they have in their shop. They don't have another Scrappy or another like really good alliance to complete. So maybe they don't level up on this turn. But sometimes you would see that here, especially if you found something like a Weaver or something to put an extra unit. They actually do opt to level up anyway, just throwing in the Axe. Does not give any good alliances, just another unit, but an extra body here just to try to keep this win streak going. We actually see everybody who had won the first 2 rounds do that exact play. You see Nexus, Blue, and M Knight all at 100 life and all at level 4. So it's very important to try to keep that win streak together, especially if you think you have a chance at it because you have a really strong unit like a 2-star Clockwork. If you don't have a 2-star unit or a strong synergy, you may think, oh, I might not continue this win streak even if I do level up, so might as well just not risk it and instead collect extra units and get a little bit closer to grabbing interest. The other player who has gone undefeated thus far is Nexus on a 3-round win streak. Is also running a very similar build, but I would say an arguably stronger build with the 2-star, the Scrappy, the Druid, and the Inventor bonus. Also with a 2-star Clockwork with a Talisman Invasion, a popular pairing today in this game. We'll be seeing, probably see both these players trend towards a Scrappy build of some sort. I would imagine Scrappy builds are still pretty strong. Maybe they're not the strongest things possible in the meta anymore, but they are still very popular, very potent, especially if you have a good start to them and get a couple of early 2-stars, which we see the Clockworks already out of both of them, and a pair of Timbersaws over here for Nexus. And they're going to be beating up on Ziggy, who does not have 4 units nor a 2-star unit. So that's going to be a little bit of a struggle for them. All right, so let's take a look at everybody here. Obviously, those two up top that we kind of have a sense of the direction they're going so far, and they obviously have a good start already. Frenzic also has a bit stronger of a Scrappy build, I'll say, right now. It does have the insect bonus, the Inventors, and the insects are the big ones, I guess I'll say, because insects are so potent at this stage of the game. They deal a lot of damage. They're basically an extra unit, an extra strong unit. It's not just any old unit. The insects make up as much damage as a very strong unit on board, and they apply a mischance to everything, and they're basically unkillable. If you kill them, they just come right back. So very strong stuff coming out of Frenzic here with this early Insect Alliance. Probably going to go on a good win streak as well. That does tend to lead towards a Scrappy build, so we're going to see probably a lot of people going towards a somewhat Scrappy-focused build, and even Agnieszka bot, our bot, is going to be picking up some of those Scrappies as well. Of course, we don't expect that to be a big problem long-term, but it is a little bit worthwhile to mention that whatever the bot is going for is going to take some of those units out of the pool, at least until they get eliminated. Of course, they're not going to be going too terribly deep into this game. So, in the meantime, Frenzic is continuing a win streak here. Let's take a look at some of the other players and see what they are up to. I want to take a look at, I guess, Abnaside here, who does have a 2-star Chaos Knight, and as well as a 2-star Treant Protector, essentially, because it's the 2-star Druid Alliance. I guess it's not guaranteed because there's a Legion Commander thrown in here. So the Druid bonus will either go to the Legion Commander or the Treant Protector. Of course, a 2-star Treant Protector in the early game is just, it's almost an auto win for the round. The power level of Treant Protector is just so incredibly strong at really all stages of the game. I guess he's not quite that impactful in later stages, but he's so good early on that, you know, I would just kind of want him to get to 2-star. I can understand the desire to want to get a Legion Commander dual win, but I also just want to go on a win streak, and if you just swap this out for like a troll, like a Dazzle or a Bat Rider, you guarantee that you get the Druid upgrade on Treant Protector instead of on Legion Commander, and I think that's just a lot stronger. Although, you know, getting Legion Commander off the ground, if you do get a 2-star Legion Commander, no one's going to be upset about that, because she probably is going to get a dual win, especially with the Knights bonus, and potentially, I guess they don't even have a Bloodbound bonus. They have a big-time contract, but no Bloodbound in there quite yet. Does pick up the Treant Protector, but now Legion Commander is just left looking a little weak, I'll say. That's not the worst, though, because their opponent Lustrile here does have just 3 units. And despite Bounty Hunter, and despite really everybody being 2-star on this board, they're going to struggle to go up against 4 units. Just simple math. 4 is greater than 3. Alright, so we do see Abnaside going on a bit of a win streak here. The Legion Commander did not win a duel in that fight, as somewhat expected, because it was still just a 1-star Legion. And in the meantime, we've got 2 players still up at 97 life. Both Frenzic and M. Knight are 5-1 at this point, both going towards a Scrappy build, which is very powerful in the early game, but does hit some power troughs in the middle of the game, come around like, I don't know, 13 to 17-ish range, they're going to start feeling a little bit weaker than the competition. Unless they get a really far ahead of the curve and get a couple extra 2-stars. At that point, people are going to start getting things like Lone Druids and Dragon Knights and Dooms that are just going to probably start to take over some of the scrappies, at least until they can turn it around and get like a Gyrocopter and big snipers and Deadeye bonus later on. Legion Commander does get a dual win here, even at just 1 star for 5 more bonus damage, now it's plus 13 dual damage. That's the case with the extra level up. Gets 5 alliances, puts in the very efficient Bat Rider here for both Trolls and Knights, still lacking the 2-star Treant or 2-star Legion Commander to really send this build into overdrive. Does not look like they have one in the shop. Does have a Mr. Warlock though, and you got to be thinking that they're going to be looking at Warlock, but just because there's a big time contract already and Bloodbound bonus so very potent with Legion Commander, and just anytime you have any unit who has 3 alliances is really appealing. So they do have one on the bench and brought one in the shop. They're going to buy here in just a moment, I'm sure. Although sometimes you could arguably just play a 1-star Mr. Warlock, and it might be better if you're just using it to sacrifice and die right away for your Legion Commander. So we'll see if that's what they end up doing or not. This Legion Commander is not going to win the duel here. Unfortunately, she dueled at a very awkward timing when both the Chaos Knight was CC'd and the unit she was dueling was at full HP, so she could not quite burst it down in time there. So very unfortunate to not get that bonus damage. So this build looks like it's going pretty well for Abnaside here. Of course, I do love me some Legion Commander builds, but there are other players at the table as well. Let's take a look at what they are up to. Let's hop over to Ziggy. He's got a very interesting build kind of coming together. Let's take a look at what they are up to. Has the Deadeye bonus with Sniper and Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker being a 2-star with a Hand of Midas. That's a really good combo to hopefully grab a lot of kills and let Bloodseeker obviously continue to live and continue to do his thing, but then also grab a whole bunch of bonus gold for your troubles here, assuming he can get the kills with the Hand of Midas. Looks like since he only had 1 kill coming into this round, it probably wasn't. This Deadeye bonus, I think, just came online just now, so it's probably a little bit behind the curve, but better late than never. It's not even that late. Round 9's not terribly late. Going to be picking up Underlords at the end of this round, and I'll be very curious to see how many Ennos get picked up. I think Enno's been through some trials and tribulations, and so I don't really have a great feel of exactly how strong he is here. We see the Healin' and Stealin' build offered up here to Ziggy. Does end up picking it, so does Frenzic, and Blue has picked up All Out Attack Enno. So we actually see 3 players on Enno here, just 1 on an Essex with her Demonic Golem, not counting the bot of course, and 2 support damage Hobgins with their Let's Go Crazy for the attack speed, and 1 healing tank Jull, which makes a lot of sense with Scrappies who have their built-in healing effect. So overall I think this is a good spread. Honestly, a little bit less on Essex than I would have thought. I thought she, in both of her forms, are very powerful. I think both of those versions are great, but will maybe they just weren't. They valued the other ones a little bit highly in their respective builds. Valued the other options. I do think healing support in Essex is just always a good option, even if she's not necessarily the best for every build. She's just always going to be solid. So we do see Ziggy going down here to Blue, who's running a mage build. That's haven't seen too many mage builds in this tournament recently. Let's take a look at what they're running with. They do have the early 2-star Storm Spirit and 2-star Morphling. No Razors in sight though, which is a little unusual. And they're pairing this up with Warlocks, which is also very unusual. Normally you see Warlocks paired with more defensive-minded alliances like Brutes or Druids or Warriors, or even Knights, just because they're going to value that healing a lot more. But I think this is probably just a matter of you got to make do with what you got. You got to play the hand that you're dealt, and if you don't have quite enough other good units to really fill this in, you see a pair of Enchantresses, a pair of Shadow Shamans, obviously indicating that they were hoping to throw some Druids in here, but they just couldn't find them. So the next best thing would be Alchemist and Broodmother, just as people to stand in front of the mages and tank for them just a little bit. They are going up against the bot here, so I don't think they should have any problems cleaning this one up. The bot is playing a whole lot of 1-star units, which obviously die very easily to the AoE effects of all the mages. I do think that mages are quite powerful if you get a good early start for them, which normally means an early 2-star Storm Spirit and or Morphling. You generally are going to want 2 separate mages to really consider going for them. If you just have like a single 2-star like Storm Spirit or a single 2-star Razor, but no other 2-star mages, or like damage dealing mages rather, AoE focused mages, then sometimes you don't really want to go that direction. But they do have both of those, and they're looking pretty stable right now. They're gonna have to pick up their game a little bit towards the later stages of the game, since mages you know, they are a little bit lower in life. They're not dominatingly far ahead, so still need to be leveling up and trying to find those Razors, trying to find those Keeper of the Lights, maybe even try to play some Spirits. I see this Ember Spirit is sneaking on the bench, and I've seen some players have success with Spirit builds with mages. That's obviously the most likely pairing, but not always the strongest kind of in the abstract. But if you are going to play Spirits, it probably makes sense to play them with mages here. What I find a little bit more interesting is the fact that they're running all-out attack Eno with mages, and I guess the stun now provides a little bit of CC that you really don't have with mages. Mages traditionally lack CC or defensive options or control effects. But if you're going to run Eno, who's going to do a big AoE stun with his all-out attack, and also apply some poison, which is just more damage. I mean, it's not magic damage, it's physical damage with poison, but it's a little bit more damage if they've already just barely survived the burst from Storm Spirit and Morphling. I guess I could see it. I do think like high damage dealer Hobgons is a lot better option, but of course I don't know what their choices were. If their options were support Hobgon, maybe I could see this Eno version being quite strong for the mage build as well in his new change, but that's something that I'm still not entirely sure of myself, just because this Eno change literally happened just earlier today and I've not really had a chance to play with it or really see how strong it is. But that big AoE stun, applying 5 stacks of the poison, like Eno's DPS is just going through the roof here. Still edged out by Storm Spirit and Morphling in the end, but it still looked very impressive. Alright, let's take a look at the rest of the lobby here. We do see a lot of players still on Scrappy. We see Nexus, M Knight, and Forensic all pursuing a 4 or 6 Scrappy build. Forensic's the only one who's having really good success with it, still up at 89 life. I think it did just lose this past round, but has what I would consider a pretty typical Scrappy build, running 6 Scrappies, getting 2 Warlocks and 2 Insects as soon as possible with the Broodmother Alchemist pairing. This build somewhat lacks damage, which is why I generally say that these kind of Scrappy builds tend to look a little bit weaker at this stage of the game. They tend to fall off just a bit, in that, especially if you don't find the upgrades. If you, like we see they're running a 1-star Timbersaw, a 1-star Sniper, 1-star Alchemist, 1-star Broodmother, and they're going up against mages, which are a natural counter up against Scrappies, but I think the Scrappies are still just a touch ahead. Just barely. This I know is not going to 1v2 here. So the Scrappies do just barely win out their extra healing, where the mages also suffer from a little bit of a weakness right now without a lot of their magic burst. No Razor, no Keeper of the Light, no Dragon Knight, no any other like big magic burst. Just this Morphling and Storm Spirit, who are fine, but we do see them struggle a little bit at this mid-game portion before you really get the rest of the damage dealers online, especially up against a very tanky Scrappy build. That balance of power is pretty close though, so if one side's slightly ahead, it could go either way at any point in the game. Here we're going to see a mirror match, the exact same 4 alliances active, slightly different units involved. We see a 2-star Sniper on the other side for Nexus, as well as a 2-star Venomancer. A little bit of an interesting adaptation here. Is running the Let's Go Crazy support Hobgon. And normally you see that paired up with Savages in particular, just because Savages gain bonus attack damage for every auto attack, and therefore they want more attack speed, so they're constantly gaining more attack damage. and that's where this version of Hobgoblin comes into play. And so that's why we're kind of seeing that Venomancer, I think, still being held on to, just because the Venomancer as a Warlock pairs so well with that particular version of Hobgoblin. Unfortunately, it does take a very slight loss here. What I'm more curious about is where's the other Savage going to come from, because obviously this Savage bonus doesn't trigger until you get 2 of them. And I guess that would have to come from Sand King? Maybe with this Octarine Essence now you may consider a Bristleback as an extra Savage, just because Octarine is like the best item in the game for Bristleback. Does opt to go for the Skull Basher, a more consistently powerful item, whereas Octarine is not the most useful outside of a Bristleback. It's just okay on a lot of other units. And so, whereas Skull Basher is very strong on Weaver, who has very high attack speed. And it looks like they've decided that that Savage game plan doesn't even make that much sense, since it's hard to figure out where that's going to go, and they just cut the Venomancer and get it out of here. So, now I do think that this Hobgoblin is a little bit misplaced in this build. I don't think this is the ideal Underlord for this kind of traditional-ish scrappy build, as far as a scrappy build is traditional and predictable. This may not be the strongest, but if he does get dragons, perhaps Dragon Knight, can definitely benefit from the attack speed. So can Sniper and Deadeye. And this is a 2-star Sniper, which is a little bit earlier than you often see a lot of other people on 1-star Sniper, for instance. He will obviously benefit dramatically from the bonus attack speed as well. So that's looking pretty good. Alright, another look around the lobby. We do see Frenzic, another player at the top of the tables here, also running the scrappy build, has picked up the Gyrocopter, which is the big transitional power point of these scrappy builds. They kind of lack some damage in the mid game until you get this Ace of Deadeyes bonus together, as well as the 2-star Sniper. Unfortunately, still running a 1-star Sniper, but you know what? A 1-star Gyrocopter, even at just 1-star, is going to do so much damage that I think this is a good point for them in this build here. I do think this is a very powerful. We see this Gyrocopter just being top DPS until he unfortunately got sniped down, and a very misplaced call down. If it was going over onto this group of there, I think that would have been an easy win. Unfortunately, I think... No, actually, they're going to win. These insects still just go into town on the back end, and NOs are jumping around and stunning each other, but I don't think it's going to end up mattering here. I think this Tinker is just too good, and Frenzic takes another narrow victory, but a victory nonetheless, continues his win streak. So it's kind of surprising seeing 3 players still on Scrappy and all doing reasonably well for themselves. Certainly Frenzic doing the best of the bunch here. Let's take a look at some of our non-Scrappy builds, like Abnaside here, running my favorite Legion Commander. Actually has 2 2-star Legion Commanders, and also pairing up with 4 Trolls, which of course Legion Commander counts as a Troll, so she's going to get the bonus, 65 attack speed for being a Troll, so that's very powerful. Is also running a Bloodbound with this Witch Doctor just thrown up front as kind of a sacrifice unit, along with the Mr. Warlock, to just sacrifice to the Bloodbound gods so that they're going to die quickly, and then give their Bloodbound bonus over to one of the Legion Commanders. That's the idea, at least, and it does look like the Witch Doctor goes down a little bit later, but both Legion Commanders just absolutely shredding through Ziggy here, who takes 14 and drops down to 11. Ziggy maybe on elimination alert here, already essentially in one-shot range, and almost lower in HP than the bot. The bot did just drop down to 10 life. Cost Blue also in some perilous straits here, both at sub 20 life, which is easily in the realm of being eliminated if they have a bad round. So let's take a look at what Ziggy's up to, running the 4 Trolls, which I think has been ticking up in popularity. I've seen a lot more people running 4 Trolls than I really have seen in the past. Does have the Deadeye to go with it, does have the Gyrocopter, the Sniper, the Troll Warlord, but overall this build definitely lacks frontline. It does have Yoink Eno, which is It doesn't really provide any CC or defensive capability. One of the things I like about like Jull or even the Rabid Furball Eno is that he does an AoE stun to the entire opponent's board. And especially in a build like this that has a lot of damage from the Deadeyes and the Trolls, but doesn't have a lot of frontline, you really value that stun and that kind of ability to keep your opponent at bay while your backline damage dealers get the job done. Does take down a narrow win here against Nexus. Not a huge win, actually had pretty low life total on most remaining units. But a win is a win, does survive for another round. And somehow actually Cost Blue loses to the bot. That's not good, to say the least. A 5 mage build, which is obviously much worse than a 6 mage build. There we go, finally getting 6 mage. Somehow Razor was the 6th mage to come in, and normally he's like the first mage you want to get in because he's so powerful in the early game, and he's only like medium impactful in the mid and late game. Does finally get it here on round 20, but it may be too late to really save Blue here from going down in a very quick death. Is up against Nexus, who we just saw Ziggy take down just narrowly, so we'll see if Nexus is kind of the the saving grace for some of these lower HP players. It's not looking like that is the case. It looks like the mages are unfortunately going to drop. Actually, this Eno might survive long enough to take 1 or 2 of these guys out and barely survive. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, Cosmo did not take them out, but actually had enough life total to survive long enough and to just hang on with 4 life left. Ziggy did knock out the bot, and so we still have 2 players kind of on elimination alert here, as well as M. Knight, who's down to 18. Now, it's a little unlikely to take a full hit of 18 at this point in the game, but it's possible. It's certainly not unheard of. We do see a 6 scrappy build here. Oh, we saw a lot of players running this 6 scrappy build. We got Forensic, we got... Well, I guess Nexus only has 4 scrappies, but still competing for a lot of those same units. And then, of course, M. Knight. So it seems like M. Knight has kind of, so far, gotten a little bit of the short end of the stick here in terms of the upgrades and the units and the power spikes, compared to some other players who've gotten some of the same units, but more of them. We'll see if this 2-star Dragon Knight is probably a pretty big point of power, but doesn't really have a good offensive item for them here. Has just a bunch of defensive options, which is not where you want to be with the Dragon Knight build. If he's going to be your big damage dealer, it's not looking that great. But the Dragon Knight is untouched, though, still at essentially full HP, getting occasionally stunned up here by the Chaos Knight. So it looks like this Dragon Knight's going to survive for a while. I don't know if they're going to be able to win this. This Sniper's also still untouched in the back line. So probably going to be a loss here for M. Knight, but it'll be a close one either way. So I don't think anybody's going to get eliminated out of this matchup. Yes, a very narrow loss here with this Sniper and Eno just barely surviving. Wow, that was even closer than I thought. Sniper with about 600 life, just barely surviving there. So we do see Blue getting eliminated, unfortunately. Was running the Mage build that just took way too long to really get online. Not finding a Razor until round 20 is generally an indication that your Mage build is not going the right direction. In the meantime, M. Knight is one Clockwork away from a 3-star Clockwork. They are holding on to a random 1-star Drow Ranger. I'm not really sure why that's there. I guess could count as a Hunter, right? You do have 2 Hunters. I guess Hunter would make sense to put in as the next unit if you're assuming your Sniper is going to be a big carry, but I'm not sure if that's really all that great. Drow Ranger in particular just not being a very appealing unit at this point in the game, but I guess any Hunter is better than none. Still, based on the life total and gold situation, I don't think another level up is really in the cards here. The opponent of M. Knight here, Forensic, is nice and stacked up for this Dragon Knight to just really go to work here. I don't even know if it'll be enough, though. The Dragon Knight is going to keep on doing his thing, but it really isn't looking like it's enough. This Gyrocopter doesn't even die at the end. M. Knight takes full 7 damage here. Not quite getting eliminated. Ziggy, on the other hand, does get eliminated. Our Troll and Deadeye build. This was a very odd build. typically, most builds will have some sort of strong defensive alliance or CC alliance, CC units in them, and this build really kind of lacked that, and I think they got pretty punished for that, just trying to go all damage with trolls and deadeyes and not really getting a very powerful druid build behind it. In the meantime, we do see really just two players starting to run away with the game, Frenzic and Abnecide here. We'll take a look at them after we watch what might happen here. M Knight going up against the Ghost of Nexus, who would probably be facing elimination if they lose with any substantial margin. I really think what's holding this build back for M Knight here is the lack of offensive item on this Dragon Knight. No attack speed, no attack damage item. He could be such a huge carry, and you see so many of these units just barely hanging on. Like, there's maybe a win here for them, or it might no. I think if they just had a plus 25 attack speed item, Gloves of Haste instead of this Arcane Boots on the Dragon Knight, I think this is a win. I easily do. I mean, the amount of remaining HP so low that if Dragon Knight had an extra 25% damage output, I think they would have got it. So that is that just goes to show how valuable offensive items are in certain builds here. So looking over, let's take a look at the scoreboard again. We've got Frenzic and Abnecide both doing very well this game, still over 70% life. One with a 6 scrappy build, pretty typical 6 scrappies into Hunters and a Deadeye. And also we've got Abnecide with 4 Trolls plus Champion. I do love me some Legion Commander, going pretty strong. In the meantime, let's watch Lustriel here, who's up against Frenzic, and they're pretty much fighting for the life with just 5 HP. It's pretty much win or go home for this particular game here. It does have a 3-star Treant up in the front with a Octarine Essence, so going to have a pretty short cooldown. Unfortunately, not quite good enough to survive long enough against these Deadeye, who just absolutely shred, and it looks like Lustriel is going to go down. These Ace of Deadeye and this Deadeye bonus is so good against kind of the long-term sustained healing of Treant Protector, because if he just drops low, he is going to get knocked out very quickly by those Deadeye just focusing in on him and just not going to let up. Alright, so now we're down to just 3, and we do see Nexus has found the 3-star Timber Saw, which is a little surprising considering how many other people have been going for scrappies this game, but 2 of them have just been eliminated over the past couple turns, so frees up some of those units back into the pool. And 3-star Timber Saw with a Stonehull Cloak, 22 kills, not the most I've ever seen, but no slouch either from this Timber Saw. I'm going to be dealing lots of AoE damage with constant shreds, but I do want to see Abnecide, as well as the Ghost of Abnecide here, running the double Legion Commander 4 Troll build, which just absolutely shredded that Timber Saw. Yeah, he got a good Whirling Death and his Inventor bonus death damage out, but like, these Legion Commanders are insane. This one's dealing over 1,000 DPS, and of course winning duels and skull bashing, and just, oh my goodness, these Legion Commanders look insane. And somewhat as predicted, we do get down to just a final 2 of Abnecide and Frenzic. Frenzic did take that initial fight. They just fought, we didn't quite catch the end of it here. So yeah, so now we're down to just 2. I guess it's time to make a little bit of a prediction on who we think is going to take this. So obviously Frenzic has the health total advantage, however slight it may be. I mean, it is 29, but in the grander scheme of things, that is, it doesn't. 29 health total lead is a lot bigger when it's like 1 to 30, not when it's 60 to 89. It does have a 2-star lead, or 2-star Medusa with an Eye of Scotty, one of the best items for Medusa. But on the other hand, this build is kind of maxed out in power level, I'll say. Frenzic's not really close to any 3-star units. Doesn't really have, I mean, can get a 2-star Gyrocopter. That's really the last big thing that can happen for Frenzic here. Meanwhile, Abnecide, of course, every round, their Legion Commanders are probably going to get a dual win. Each one of them is probably going to get a dual win. Except in this round, that Legion Commander didn't, because she got stunned up by the Medusa and blocked in, so that didn't really work. I think the scaling edge goes to Abnecide here, but 2 huge hits makes me start to wonder, is there enough time left? And that I'm not so sure of. Let's look at their from their perspective here. Do have a 2-star disruptor that I gotta think has got to get in here somewhere. Goes in over the Omni Knight. No humans, no knights. So obviously Legion Commander doesn't scale quite as well, but the big disruptor alt, more healing from the Warlock and the Ace of Warlock effects, does put the Omni Knight back in. Oh, I guess I had to level up. Okay, I had to level up to 10 to keep all that. So I guess that's fine. Now that you got to keep all those alliances. Oh, and I gave healer. Yeah, you don't want to cut that Omni Knight. He gave 3 alliances. He gave all 3. And especially the Knight's bonus is really strong for Legion Commander to just keep her alive. That 20% damage reduction effectively, because she's going to be next to... Actually, it's 30% damage reduction, because she's going to be next to somebody the whole time. At least most of the fight. Seems impactful, but I don't know if there's enough time for this build to scale. It still has way too many 1-stars, and it is just taking massive chunks every turn from Frenzic here, who was just running over this build. This Legion Commander build looks reasonably strong, but it is lacking star levels. Doesn't have a 2-star Witch Doctor, doesn't have a 2-star Omni Knight. Is still running like kind of relatively weak units like Shadow Shaman and kind of like a Sacrifice Warlock. Does have a 2-star Gyrocopter kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I think I would just swap that in for a Legion. Can you swap it in for a Legion Commander and just give it the Refresher Orb? Oh, swap it in for the Omni Knight? You lose so many alliances for that. It does also have a 2-star Troll Warlord. That is a huge upgrade. And this is what we're kind of seeing. In the past couple turns, Frenzic has been winning quite convincingly, but has not found an upgrade in the past couple rounds. Just because there haven't been upgrades to find. You pretty much need to get up to 3 stars. And in the meantime, Abnacide has found a lot of units that could be upgrades. The 2-star Troll Warlords, the 2-star Ace units. Still has like a 3-star Legion Commander to find. And Abnacide may be turning the tables here. The longer this game goes, I think the better for Abnacide it is, and the worse it is for Frenzic. Frenzic needed to close it out, but of course had 60 life total to go through, and we do see Abnacide taking a win here. Still, one good fight could easily swing the whole deal to Frenzic, but over the past 2 rounds, Abnacide has gotten 3 2-star Ace units. 2-star Disruptor, 2-star Gyro, 2-star Troll Warlord, and I just think that is so impactful. Is going to opt to swap away from 4 Trolls and get back into the Knights version. Here with the Omni Knight, obviously I think he carries a lot of weight for this build. I don't like this positioning. This Legion Commander is going to get really stuck in. Okay, there we go. Moving the Legion Commander out. If that Legion Commander stayed back, it probably wouldn't even like get into combat. At least it wouldn't very quickly get into combat. Does get a really quick Disruptor ult off. It didn't even delay that many casts. If you watch the Medusa didn't get her mana up until that Disruptor Storm already timed out. So ideally, I think you'd want that Disruptor to go a little bit later to try to stall that Medusa stun. And I think that may have been the big problem in this fight, that the Disruptor Storm was not nearly as impactful as it could have been, just based on the repositioning here. And Abnacide does drop down to 3, and it is not looking good. It's constantly swapping between these, the 4 Troll build and the extra Knights and Humans, and it's hard to say exactly what sounds the best here. Honestly, I think in a case like this, you do both and you cut a Legion Commander. You cut your weakest Legion Commander. I mean, it really sucks because she is so strong, but like we see, Gyrocopter's dealing more damage, and they can't both duel at the same time because the way the Demon bonus works. I just feel like if you have so many other alliances, and like your Troll Warlord and Gyrocopter can also carry, you don't need Legion Commander to carry, you just need good alliances. I feel like I would make that swap. This one is looking very close here. I do think the Gyrocopter is going to win out on this round. Oh no, he got assassinated. This call down is not quite going to be enough. No, it's so very close. The Medusa does take down the win there. A 2-star Medusa looking oh so very strong. And despite the fact that the scaling advantage I thought went to the Legion Commander build, it just did not quite come together here as Frenzic, and some repositioning, I think, to kind of optimize the Medusa stun radius and her optimal timing on that, as well as the I think the... Wait, did they get a new item? Or was it... Must have been the Silver Edge here on the Gyrocopter was a relatively new item on round 30. Or no, maybe they didn't even get the round 30 items actually. So I think it was just really that repositioning, that one Frenzic the day there. Abnaside could not quite get all the upgrades they were looking for, couldn't get that 3-star Legion Commander or anything else like that. But a good game here in Game 3 of the ESL Mobile Open Closed Qualifiers. We still got a couple more games to come here, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Oh, hey everyone. Sorry, I was not looking at chat during that cast there. Hey, what's up, Guadalupe Panya and Jacob Cantor? How's it going? Whew, what a game. Man, that Scrappy build just absolutely shredding that entire game from start to finish. Alright, I can get up and just walk around real quick, and I'll be right back with next game here in just a second. Alright, back. Just gotta, you know, after every game, just kind of get up and stretch your legs a little bit. Yeah, full Scrappy build with Hunters, man, that is so strong. Especially with a 2-star Medusa, she just, like, shreds. Absolutely shreds. I'll probably be doing another similar kind of casting style for next game, where I probably won't be looking at chat for too much. Just trying to get like a good cast game that I think is like close and, you know, that I would feel happy making as a separate video. So sorry if I don't say hi to everybody in chat, but it's not because I'm ignoring you. Well, I mean, it is because I'm ignoring you, but I'll get back to you after the game. Alright, just one more player to ready up, and we'll be good to go into the next game. I guess 2 people ready up, Frenzic and Abnaside. I was definitely more impressed with the NOs that game. I think we saw a couple players playing NO, and to really great effect. I was pleasantly surprised with how strong NO seemed after no one picked him in game 2. Which was basically game 1 from my perspective. The first game I watched, basically no one picked him. And there we saw a good number of people playing a little rabid furball. So we'll see if that trend continues, because the Frenzic, who did win that game, did have the Yoink NO, which I thought was very impactful. Stole a Desolator initially in one fight, I know for sure, which was probably key to winning that fight. And then also just the constant healing seemed really powerful. Just constantly healing up. I thought that was a very, a very good build. Still waiting on both of those players to be ready up here. That's all right. They were going for a little bit longer. They were the final two, so they probably want to take a little bit of a break. Whereas everyone else, admittedly, got eliminated quite a bit earlier in that game. They were not the final two. Went into it both having above 60 life. So looks like Amnicide is ready up. We'll see if Forensic is as well. All right, sweet. So we'll be back into kind of casting mode here. Hey everyone, Tin Man here, and back with some more Dota Underlords. We're going to be casting the ESL Mobile Open Closed Qualifiers. This is like the Phase 2 qualifiers, so they take the top half of players who participate in the Open Qualifier, and they'll put them into the Closed Qualifier here, and that's what we've got. So we've got a 7-player lobby, just because we have an odd number of players who have advanced to the Closed Qualifier stage, so instead we've got Gwendolyn Bot filling in. Of course, fan favorite, always going to be cheering for Gwendolyn Bot. So we've seen a couple of games with this exact same lobby played earlier today, and in the previous game we did see Forensic take down the win, so we're going to be following them initially here. Forensic starts out with a Bloodbound alliance with Warlock and Bloodseeker, and has Axe as just kind of a relatively tanky frontliner, hopefully to let the Warlock do the main job of carrying the team after he gets the Bloodbound alliance. But admittedly, I don't think this is going to end too well for them because the opponent also has a Bloodbound alliance. Or no, that's not a Bloodbound alliance. He just has, he was big, but he has been bloodlusted by the Ogre Magi. It was not a Bloodbound alliance. Still, Casa Blue does manage to take him down there with their early game Ogre Magi. Very strong early game. Alright, let's take a look at the full table here of what they've got available. So, did opt to pick up a Vitality Booster for Forensic here. And we see M Knight also picked up a Vitality Booster. Maybe it's just a past bias that Vitality Booster has just never been all that great for me, that I'm just not thrilled about ever picking it up. I'd much prefer any of the other defensive options in Tier 1. But I guess sometimes it makes sense. So we do see a couple people picking up. It has been buffed a couple of times, and I guess proportionally it's not all that bad. We do see Ziggy here has opted for an open fort strategy, at least for a little bit. Did win round 1. And so this is something I guess I want to talk a little bit about is what happened there is I didn't quite catch exactly what Ziggy had on the first turn, but if you win the first round and then you sell off every unit, because you get 1 bonus gold for winning the round, you'll be able to sell up to 10 gold on round 2. So we see Ziggy's going to get bonus interest here because they had 10 gold at the start of the round. And then also, you still got to buy every unit from your round 2 shop because your interest locks in at the start of combat. And then you can just buy everything and you're good to go. And you grab your interest. So I think going for this kind of semi-open fort, like losing streak strategy is viable in exactly this situation where you win round 1 so that you can get 10 gold for interest. And you don't really have any like pairings or 2-star units or like alliances that you really think, yeah, I can win the rounds with these. Or this is powerful. This is something I can build around from your opening round. If you don't think you have anything really good there, then it sometimes makes sense to just sell off everything, get up to 10 gold, and say, I'm just going to grab interest early, and I'm going to lose these rounds. Hopefully lose by just a little bit, so you don't take too terribly much damage. And so that's what we're seeing Ziggy do here with just running 2 units as opposed to 3, which everybody else can run at least 3 units. And we'll probably ensure that they lose, just because you only have 2 units to their 3 or 4, and that will allow them to keep a losing streak, get some rerolls, and really maximize their early income at the expense of some life total here. So we'll have to keep tabs on that to see exactly how this intentional losing streak plays out for them here. Definitely going to lose here up against 4 units on the other side. Maybe they can take somebody out while they're at it. Try to hopefully take out this Bat Rider here before they take too much damage. It does look like they take it down. That's got to be considered a win. Essentially, you got to mitigate as much damage as you can while running this type of strategy. And then you take as narrow of a loss as you can realistically get. So we'll check back in with them a little bit later. We do see Lustrial here has a 2-star Timber Saw already and has a good win streak together. And also has a 2-star Bounty Hunter. And that's a really big draw towards an early scrappy assassin insect kind of build. Especially when you have the win streak. You can realistically level up here and not lose any gold. But there's also an Axe in the shop. That's interesting. Does opt to level up. I don't think Axe really wants to go in this build in any way. It's really hard to get any Brawnies or Brutes in with Scrappies, just because for these kind of primarily defensive alliances, you like to just double down on them. If you want to add another frontlining defensive unit, you should probably just add another Scrappy. Right, because you already have some Scrappies, and then we get a higher tier of Scrappy, and they're pretty good defensive options. And the Scrappy bonus obviously applies to them. Whereas if you add an Axe, yeah, you get a good tank, but you don't have any Brutes or Brawnies, and it would just be better, and he's not going to be affected by the Scrappy bonus. So, and there's also no kind of overlap there. So I think you just pick up the Axe because you can resell them for the same cost that you bought them for. It costs 3 gold to buy 3 axes, and you can sell a 2-star axe for 3 gold. So no real loss there, but as expected, Lustrial with that 2-star Timber Saw is a very strong build right now, and I would not be surprised to see this build probably complete a win streak, go on the full 8 rounds in a row. Just needs 3 more, and I really don't see too many builds except maybe like Nexus here with the 2-star Queen of Pain. Maybe catching up to them in terms of power level over the next couple rounds, and even that Queen of Pain is probably not that great. 2-star Timber Saw. Did have to pick up a Claymore though. Not really the best of items. I guess it's okay on Weaver in the later stages of the game because he's got a fast attack speed at 1.1 attacks per second. So you get more uses out of that. But early on, Timber Saw is just going to be more survivable, so he's going to probably attack more overall just because he survives longer. Maybe not in this case because the Weaver does get to dash away and does have the Scrappy buff on him as opposed to on the Timber Saw, but that's a little hard to predict. Even so, Timber Saw is still really surviving forever. Actually, Timber Saw is going to survive the whole time, it seems like. Wow. 17 life, not even close. Alright, good win. Good win indeed. In the meantime, we also have Abnacide here, who finished in 2nd place in our last game, of course, running a Knights kind of composition. This is actually similar to what we saw them run last time, was a Legion Commander plus 4 Trolls build. So that may be the direction they're trying to go. You know, maybe you incorporate some Druids for a little bit just because one of your Trolls is a Druid, your Shadow Shaman. And of course, Druids are just really strong at a lot of points in the game, especially when paired up with Knights and with Legion Commander. So I definitely think that's the direction they probably want to go, just based on past history and kind of where they're at right now in the game. Not really a big advocate of kind of forcing builds, and if you're constantly running the exact same build over and over again, you're probably forcing it a little bit too hard. But if it's a strong build, which, you know, 4 Trolls plus Legion Commander does seem to be an awfully strong build, especially because it's so flexible in terms of whether you can run Knights or Druids or Warlocks, some other kind of support units. It can be a pretty good build to force, and then you can even, you know, adjust based on exactly what you get every time. All right, let's take a look at the full lay of the board here. With unfortunately, Abnacide did take a little bit of a loss there, so it does not have the win streak, but still has a pretty healthy life total, just narrow losses. Lustrial's really running away with the net worth game right now, up at 78. Meanwhile, a suspiciously low number of net worth is on Blue here. I don't know if Blue has gone for any kind of rerolls. Actually, just conveniently, they get to play against Abnacide, who we're spectating. Blue here is running a mage build, who we also saw them run a mage build last game, funny enough. This build, because the net worth is so low, I'm like kind of suspicious. Oh, did they reroll a lot to get all these 2 stars? I maybe not. Maybe they just were buying a lot of things and getting a little lucky, but this build seems very strong right now. Is looking to go towards a spirits even, a spirits build when paired with mages. Now, I'm not the biggest advocate of spirits just because it's so RNG. It's so like, oh, is it going to hit one person or is it going to hit everybody on their team? But there's no doubt that it's powerful when it does work. When it does trigger and it does hit opposing units, it does a lot of powerful damage and a lot of powerful effects from all their elemental charges. Already having a 2-star on Ember Spirit and the Storm Spirit, and already having some good front lines with the Brutes up to 2-star. I really like this build out of Cost Blue. I think they're picking up Legion Commanders because she's essentially an extra spirit with her elemental charge and the fact that she becomes a spirit. I actually kind of like where this build's going, and based on their total gold situation, I don't think they've been re-rolling. I think they've just been buying so many units that they've not had a chance to get rapid interest as much as everyone else. So that is one problem with having such a powerful early game build with all these 2-stars, is that you don't have nearly as much interest as everyone else, and your overall gold is definitely going to be quite a bit behind. Underlord choices here. We'll see where everyone ends up. With a mage build, you typically like high damage Hobgoblin, but I don't think they have that choice. They're instead going to go for Happy Hour Jull. Normally I like Happy Hour Jull if you have a heavier healing composition, because his Happy Hour effect doesn't actually reduce damage, it just kind of delays it, which is really strong if you're going to be healing, because then you have a lot longer time to heal that up, as opposed to, oh, Enchantress casts her heal, but then your unit just dies right away. That's never fun. But with Happy Hour, it kind of increases the chance that she's going to get that full amount of healing. I guess the logic here is that Jull is the tanky Underlord, the frontline tanky kind of guy, and you just need somebody on your front line if you're going to be running these kind of spirits and mages who have very good damage output, but they're very vulnerable. And so if you're running Axe and Ogre Magi, Jull, I guess, makes sense, although I'm sure they would have preferred aggressive tank Jull if all they're using him for is a tank. But it is seeming to work out pretty well for them here. Unfortunately, Lustral did complete the win streak as expected, but did take a big loss there for 10 damage. Wow. Down against Abnecide here. I kind of want to check out what how that one went down. Abnecide is running the a Knights comp of 4 Knights plus Trolls, no Legion Commander in sight. Is also running Healers with Healing Enno, with Dr. Enno's Soothing Balm. He is a very good doctor, and his healing output is rather substantial. I think, can we get the results for that healing? Yeah. Look at Enno's healing, 4,800 healing with that Healer Alliance plus the tanky Knights, out healing even Enchantress. So that just really goes to show exactly how strong this new version of Enno can be, where he heals everybody on the team, also gets to yoink away a Vanguard. So the opposing Axe is much more vulnerable to attack here. Unfortunately, going up against Blue, who we did say has a very strong build. I don't know if this Enno build is going to be good enough. They are holding pretty firm here. The Spirit build has not really actually come together just yet. They don't have the full Spirit lineup. And yeah, this healing on these Knights is just keeping them up. It felt like a lot of damage came out, but just as much healing came out to keep everybody just topped up. Yeah, 5,000 healing from Enno, 3,500 from Enchantress. And the damage taken, I mean, a 1-star Omni Knight took 3,500 damage. He's got 1,100 HP, so he got healed for, 2,400. There's a very tanky frontliner there. So very impressive how strong this build looks at the moment with this version of Enno, who does a ton of healing. Well, especially with Healer Alliance. So really liking with this. Unfortunately, the bane of all healers is Assassins. The Assassins are going to jump in and just absolutely shred through this healing, because every time they crit, they're going to reduce the healing output. The Assassins are looking like they're going to take this. This Queen of Pain is still pretty strong. A little close, actually. No. Looks like the Assassins do not quite have enough to punch through this. This is still a really strong 2-star Chaos Knight, really strong 2-star Sven. And despite the fact that the healing has been reduced, it only gets reduced if they crit. And even then, only for a few seconds. So this early on, just the 3 Assassins that the opponent Nexus here had was not quite enough. Actually, it was 5 Assassins, but it was only the 3 Assassin Alliance. So it was not quite enough to cut through all of that healing. You have to imagine, though, that once they get up to 6 Assassins, that'll be a bit more of a compositional counter to this kind of healing-focused build. Very interesting build. That's why I'm focusing so much on it, because it's not a build that I've seen too terribly often, especially not succeeding against this kind of a lobby here. I'm going to go up against Ziggy here, who's running a Brawny Brute Bloodbound build, made to do a big-time contract. Ziggy was the one who was going on an early losing streak, the intentional loss streak, and has decided that this is a build that no one is really competing for them, or competing with. And then, that's one of the other benefits of kind of going on an early losing streak is you get lots of rerolls, and you get a lot of time to figure out, oh hey, no one's doing this strategy. And that means that you can kind of move into it with all those rerolls, and you're probably going to be uncontested. And they saw that this strategy was open. The problem is, this build from Abnaside with the 4 trolls plus the healers is just absolutely shredding through everybody. The healing is insane, and from the Eno and from the Enchantress to an extent. And who needs your damage output when you got 4 trolls? Like, your healers are eventually just gonna damage them out. How much damage? Bat Rider was the highest damage dealer by far. Eno actually deals a reasonable amount of damage, but like, those are your main damage dealers here. They're just slowly chipping away at them. Meanwhile, just being always healed up full. So I'm very impressed with how this build is playing out here for Abnaside right now. Gonna go up against a M Knight who's got a relatively stock standard scrappy build, who has actually the all-out attack Eno. And now this is probably I'm gonna say this is another good matchup against the healers, because all-out attack Eno does apply 5 stacks of poison. You see that little green 5 on all the units after his all-out attack. And that does mean that their healing will be dramatically reduced. Everybody who's got those 5 stacks of the poison is going to take 50% less healing. When your entire build is built around slow and steady healing, that is not a very good recipe, and Abnaside does take first loss in a little while here, still at the top of the tables in terms of life total, but they are not invincible, certainly not against the all-out attack version of Eno, the Rabid Furball version. Alright, looking around, Frenzic also on a pretty good win streak here, is running a scrappy build. We do see 2 players on scrappy, both Frenzic and M Knight here. Frenzic opting for the more Warlock-focused build right now, does have the 2-star Broodmother. Just a 1-star Alchemist, but still a pretty good unit at this point in the game. Actually, they're both going to be playing against each other. Actually, no, this is Lustrail, actually. There's actually a 3rd scrappy build just below, yes. So 3rd scrappy, they don't have all 6 quite yet. And I do think 6 Scrappy is actually a really important point for this build, especially if you're going to be running Eno. He's already pretty survivable, but he just is like guaranteed to be your last guy alive if you do get him the Scrappy bonus. And even from Lustrail's perspective, they probably really wanted that bonus defensive capability on their Nessex to let her survive a little bit longer. She just kind of got caught up in some AoE and just could not quite get things really off the ground here. This is a really close one. It looks like Eno is just tanky enough there at the end to pull out the win. A very narrow win over Lustrail there for Frenzic. There is an option for a Mask of Madness for Frenzic. Now that is a very powerful item. They do not opt to go for it because it's a very specific item, and I thought they may go for it because they do have 2 good Mask of Madness holders on the bench, the Drow Ranger and the Bloodseeker. But Bloodseeker is really just there if they want to trigger the Deadeye bonus with Sniper, and Drow Ranger if they want to trigger the Hunter bonus for Sniper. Now, of course, once you get into the mid and late game, there are better options for those particular alliances. You want a Gyrocopter for the Bloodseeker, and you want a Medusa for the Drow Ranger, or for the Hunter bonus. And so, yes, these units could hold the Mask of Madness pretty well, but there are better options for that role in the game. And so Frenzic's probably thinking, I don't even want to play Bloodseeker if I don't have to. I don't even want to play Drow Ranger if I don't have to. So because I'm so far ahead, I have so much life total, so much gold, I probably am not going to have to play these bad units. I'm probably going to get that Medusa or that Gyrocopter at some point, and therefore just take a different item like the Hand of Midas. I think that was what they picked, the Hand of Midas there, and not have to go for an item that is probably going to be made obsolete at some point in the near future. It does look like Forensic is going to take a little bit of loss here. No win streak completion here up against M. Knight. Another very narrow victory, as sometimes these NO fights tend to be. As Forensic just takes 2 damage there. Despite being at the top of the life total, does have not the best record. Once again indicating how close these losses have been. 9 and 7 is the record, but still at the highest life total of 76. Kind of surprising seeing 3 players going for 6 scrappy builds, and all really getting them online at this point. We do see Lustral is probably the least powerful build at the moment. Does have a 12 and 4 record, but does have a very low HP total, indicating that they probably got a lot of those wins early in the game. And then now, once everyone's kind of powering up, they're starting to lose very heavily. Does have the Snapfire for an additional inventor, but no dragon to speak of, and doesn't even have 4 inventors. So that Snapfire not looking so hot right here. Certainly not against the very tanky front line of these brutes. We do see the Gwendolyn bot eliminated, unfortunately. I know we were all cheering for the bots to win, but you know, we will not have any bot victories here in this game. Does look like Lustral is going to be able to take this down. This Nessex Golem with the 6 scrappies. The Nessex Golem, man, that gets really tanky with the scrappy bonus, actually. I just realized it had 0 armor, so that bonus armor and bonus health regen is actually rather impactful on such a unit that's pretty vulnerable, just dropping into their backlines. So, big improvement there, and Lustral does manage to take that win as some other players falter. Some of the other scrappy players. In the meantime, let's take a look near to the bottom of the standings, and it's not even that far on the bottom because they still have just a shy of 50 life, so they're by no means out of it, but somebody like Blue here is very low on gold. Very low on gold. Does only have 4 gold at the moment. Now, rerolling down and being low on gold is not like a death sentence on its own right at this point in the game. That was a really bad spirit ult, by the way, just hitting 1 unit. But what made me bring that up is that Blue is also at level 7, whereas everybody else was like low gold, like in either in like 0 to 10 or like anything. Pretty much everybody else in the game is level 8, and Blue is not. Blue is level 7, and if we look over at their XP, they're still 15 gold away from leveling up to 8, and that's pretty far. The thing with Spirit builds is they really do want to get as many levels under their belts as they can, because every level up, you can just throw in another Spirit. You can throw in another Storm Spirit. You can throw in another Legion Commander. Another, well, mainly Storm Spirits. Maybe some Ember Spirits. I don't know. And just another Spirit. That means another unit to trigger the Spirit Alliance. And now, yes, there's only 3 Spirits in the Alliance. But if you run 4 Spirits, as in the case with Legion Commander, you know of 4 units, and only whenever 3 of them trigger, you'll trigger a Delta Slam. So that means it's just so much easier to trigger multiple Delta Slams if you have more Spirits. And so here we actually see them leveling up and putting on a 2-star Razor, who's going to do good damage, of course. 2-star Razor is going to be a pretty big damage source. I would kind of prefer them to go for just like more Spirits. I mean, just double down. Just play every Spirit you can possibly find. I don't know. I don't play too many Spirit builds, but that is a really huge Delta Slam that hits so many people. Hits almost the entire board, and we just let them melt. Absolutely melt. That's why you play Spirits, because whenever they do hit, they hit hard. Unfortunately, everybody they hit pretty much died, and then the people who they didn't hit didn't take anything. And Blue takes a big hit here. Despite getting a massive Delta Slam there, players or units right along the edges of the board are really hard to hit in a Delta Slam, just because of the way geometry works. The area covered near the corners of the triangle is much smaller than the area covered in the middle of the triangle. So units closer to the middle of the board are going to be in the middle of the triangle, and it's more likely to get hit. So if you're right along the edges, it's really hard to hit them, and we saw it like eliminated like 2 rows of them, but then anybody along the side was pretty much untouched. And then the build kind of gave out. Didn't have enough damage output. Blue's going to go up against Forensic here, who's been looking pretty solid. Does have that Drow Ranger that we did talk about earlier about the Mask of Madness decision. Unfortunately, the one problem with Scrappies is that they're often pretty weak to mages, just because they don't really have any magic resistance or even a lot of CC to deal with that. The Spirits, once again though, struggle to deal with the corner composition. And the Sniper, this Drow Ranger, this Tinker, yeah, they're getting hit by this Ember Spirit, but it's not really doing as much. It is not eliminating them. It's knocking them low and really just feeding the mana, and Blue takes another hit here. I don't think this is the greatest of showings for this particular style of build. This particular Spirit build. It was looking pretty promising initially, but I think it's fallen off pretty dramatically since. Does get to pick up an Octarine Essence, which is pretty good to be casting multiple times. Somebody on like Storm Spirit or Morphling. No, don't put it on Legion Commander. Legion Commander has a 40-second cooldown, so yeah, you get the most time off your cooldown. But what are the odds she actually casts a second duel in a fight? Especially with such a squishy composition like this with no healing effects. I don't think possible. So, okay. Alright, well, we'll keep an eye on Legion Commander. I'm pretty sure she's never going to get a second cast off. Whereas if it put on somebody like Morphling, I think Morphling would get multiple casts off. Yeah, Legion Commander gets one duel off, and then she dies. She survived like 1 or 2 seconds after her duel, not 28. So, I don't think that was really the correct decision to put it on her. I mean, I don't think this build would have beat the Assassins anyway, if it was on the correct target, but every little bit helps. The double 2-star Queen of Pains just absolutely shredded through this mage backline. When you're very squishy and have no CC and don't have defensive abilities, these Queen of Pains are just going to absolutely shred you. Still, no one's got eliminated, though. We're still going into round 22 here. Cost Blue might be facing elimination with another loss. Another loss would probably knock them out here. Maybe 2 losses, depends on how bad they are. 16 life, we've definitely seen people take more than 16 at once. In the meantime, at the top of the standings, Forensic is also is running pretty strong with 6 Scrappies. Abnacide also still doing pretty decently with their Knights and Healers build, along with the Healin' and Steal and Eno. And of course, rounding out the top 4 are other Scrappy builds, who are also going pretty strong despite the intense competition. It's just because the builds that will typically prey on some of the Scrappies, like mages or assassins, there are people playing them. They're just, those particular builds of this game are kind of weak. They're a little bit behind the curve. They haven't found quite as many as they would have liked, quite as many mages or assassins, and they are definitely struggling. And I think if you go like equal amount of gold spent on your board, then, or like equal number of like star levels and unit costs, I think mages tend to have a pretty good time against Scrappies once you get to this point in the game, once you get to level 8s and 9s. But at this particular moment, it's not looking great for these mages. Let's take a look at what Ziggy's got, who's also kind of at risk of being eliminated here. Does have the Bloodbound Alliance with the big time contract, and also running 3 Brutes. Not really that efficient, because you obviously want 4 Brutes for the bigger alliance, and 3 Brownies. Same thing. Does have pretty good items, though. Has a big time contract, of course, and the Mask of Madness on a Troll Warlord. It's just a 1-star Troll Warlord and just has 2 Trolls, so it's probably not going to be the biggest carry in the world here. We do see our 2 low health players, Ziggy and Blue, both going up against each other, and the loser of this may get eliminated depending on how big of a loss it is. The Troll Warlord is just going crazy on this Jull. I think this is going to knock out this Jull. Yep, and then Troll Warlord gets to swap targets real quick. Still going pretty strong, still healing up ever so slightly. I think this is going to be a good win here for Ziggy. Will it be enough to knock out Blue? Yes, it will be, and unfortunately, Blue is our first one out in this game. Nexus and the Ghost Lustral had a draw, interestingly enough. Didn't quite get to see how that one played out. I'll top over to Forensic, and Forensic does take a huge loss at the hands of Abnacite. I want to take another look at this Knights composition here, because this is one that I personally don't see too terribly often in my games. Running 4 Trolls, 4 Knights, 2 Druids, 3 Healers. Now you often see 3 Healers played with Knights just because Necrophos makes a lot of sense when paired up with Abaddon, and he's just a great unit. And also Omni Knight, of course, and then you throw in 1 more healer, whether it be Enchantress in this case with Druids, or sometimes Witch or Dazzle to give you Trolls, or various other options. You often will see healers in here, and even more so now that Dr. Eno is an option, and he actually does just so much healing, and it's constant healing because it's every 3 seconds he's going to cast the Soothing Balm and heal up your team. And so that is just a lot of healing amplification going out for that Healer Alliance. So I'm a big fan of this build now that the Eno has been recently adjusted. He actually managed to steal Vladimir's Offering for even more healing, just intense amount of pressure coming out here, and this build is looking great. Outside does a massive chunk to Lustriel, dealing 20 damage to them. On the other side of the table, Ziggy is taking a loss here. Not quite eliminated though, only took 8 damage and still has a little bit left to spare. But probably 1 more loss will knock out Ziggy here. Does manage to finally get up to the 4 Brawny bonus, but at this point with a 1-star Bristleback, a 1-star Disruptor, 1-star Troll Warlord, a Legion Commander with only 16 bonus damage, this build just didn't really come together. This was the build that came out of that initial open fort strategy with intentionally losing the first handful of rounds. Opted into this strategy, which seemed very open. No one was really competing with it, but unfortunately the early rounds really dictate how strong a Legion Commander build is going to be, and a Brawny build is going to be, because they're going to really struggle to get kills later on in the game if they're already behind the curve, and they just go up against Abnacite, who I was just singing the praises of. So it's not looking too good for Ziggy here. I believe Ziggy is going to get knocked out in 6th place in this game. Quite convincingly, actually. So, despite Troll Warlord doing his darndest, it is not going to be enough, as there is a Troll Warlord on the other side also doing quite well. Ziggy is knocked out in 6th place. So we still have a relatively close game. Just our first player eliminated on round 25. I've had games end on round 25 where everybody else got eliminated, and just first place is determined by this point. So the fact that only 2 real players have been eliminated so far really speaks to how close the rest of this game is. Let's take a look at both Lustriel and Nexus here, the next 2 kind of at the lowest HP. Lustriel running a slightly atypical scrappy build. You normally don't see assassins paired up with them, just because Bounty Hunter is probably one of the weaker scrappy units. Being a 1-cost unit, you try to move away from most 1-cost units by the end of the game, so you often don't see assassins here. And if you do that, you often want to play Viper and the Snapfire to give you dragons and assassins, and at some point you're just kind of running some weak units and you don't have quite as many options to go for like Dragon Knight or to replace the Bounty Hunter and still keep this build. So we'll see if they do well here. They're going up against Abnacide, the healer build we were just talking so much about. I didn't get to talk about Nexus, but I did see some pop-ups there in between this round. They did get a 3-star Ember Spirit and a 3-star Queen of Pain this round, so that is a really huge improvement. I got to imagine Nexus is going to be looking pretty strong after this round. Looks like Lustriel is going to be going down here. Probably not going to get eliminated. Not going to take 22, I don't think. I think this is like 18. But I didn't count. I didn't count that high. Is it 22? 19! Okay, sweet. My rough estimation pays off. Alright, Lustriel still survives 1 more turn. Let's take a look at Nexus, who, was previously the lowest, but now I gotta think they're in really good shape. Does have a 3-star Queen of Pain with a BKB, so she's going to be pretty hard to take down, and has a 3-star Ember Spirit. Did have a Battle Fury until just a moment ago, and instead opted to go on the Desolator, which, after the interaction between Battle Fury and Ember Spirit had been slightly nerfed, such that it doesn't cleave quite as much as it used to, like the geometry of it changed a bit. I can kind of see the Desolator going on it, You can even see them swapping between the two was a little bit undecided. But just getting to apply this Desolator -5 armor to basically their entire team, because it'll hit everybody within 3 squares of his initial spot, which is basically the whole board. That is a really big damage output. It might not show up on Ember Spirit. He might not have the most damage. I mean, he's going to have the most damage, but he probably would have more if you gave him Battle Fury. But the rest of your team is also going to hit just that much harder, just because they're going to have -5 armor. And the rest of your team is just going to shred through them. As Nexus does so and does knock out Lustriel. Unfortunately, they're going down in 5th place. Next player up is Frenzic. Is also looking a little bit worse from where here. Is going to take a loss, but just a narrow one. Not going to get eliminated quite yet. But is going to take a few bits of damage this turn. Dropping down into the single digits with just 9 life left. As Abnaside actually did take a loss. That healer build went up against the Assassins. And, you know, what do you know that getting a couple of 3-star Assassins is going to turn the tide even against the strongest of opponents. Especially one that is focused on healing so much, with the Healer Alliance, the Necrophos, the Healing NO. The fact that there's still an Assassin player left in the game has really got to give Abnaside a little bit of cause for concern here, because it was looking very much like the game was in the bag for Abnaside. They were just running away with it. They had very strong comp. They had good scaling options. And then there's an Assassin player who just got up to 2 3-star Assassins, and they're really good ones. I gotta think Assassins are probably going to take this game. I don't really see a build right now that can really compete with them. This Knight's comp is just going to open up just a little bit. The Ember Spirit is going to jump in, and once Ember Spirit casts, is just going to apply the Desolator debuff, and probably, assuming it crits any amount of times, the crit debuff and healing debuff to the entire team, and it's probably just going to shred right through them. And it's going to be hard to deal anything about that because it, of course, is a 3-star Ember Spirit who's going to be very tanky before getting off its cast. So we'll see how it all plays out. Abnaside is about to take out Frenzic here. Frenzic knocking down in 4th place as the healing output from this healer Knight's composition just was clearly too much for this Scrappy build to deal with. Scrappies typically lack some damage output into the later stages of the game unless you can get something like Medusa and 2-star Gyrocopter, 2-star Medusa, or a 3-star Tinker, which I don't believe Frenzic had any of the above, as he was on a 6-round loss streak and did get knocked out there. So now we're down to 3. Honestly, my betting money is on these Assassins. I just am a firm believer in 3-star Ember Spirit. We do see them going up against Abnaside here. And we'll see exactly how strong that is. The Ember Spirit is off to the side, which is probably not ideal. It does blink in a little bit closer, but still some people on the corners are not going to get hit by this ability. This Sven and this Bat Rider in particular are not going to get hit. I don't know if that's enough of a safe haven, though. It does look like... Oh, it's going to be close. This Chaos Knight's pretty much untouched. So is the Sven. As we said, he did not get hit by that initial Ember Spirit cast, and it does look like they're able to take it down. The Focus Fire is just not there on the big damage dealers, the Chaos Knight, the Sven. A lot more AoE focus with the Queen of Pain and Ember Spirit. Could not take down the big damage dealers later in the fight, especially the Sven, escaping so well. Maybe if you're Nexus here and you're thinking, okay, I need to deal with a stacked up composition, maybe you swap the Battle Fury back over to the Ember Spirit, just because it'll have a lot of cleave potential. I know it's a close debate, but especially against really stacked opponents, I think Ember Spirit Battle Fury is still a touch stronger. If they take a big loss here, though, they may be facing elimination. They go up against the same matchup, did not make any kind of adjustments. In terms of, or not any major adjustments, really. Oh wait, was that a Faceless Void? I don't think that was there last time. Maybe that was a major adjustment, actually. Also a good one against stacked up compositions. Ember Spirit could not get another cast off. He was just about to cast one more time as he died, which obviously would have cleaned up at least some of this mess. So I do think Nexus is going to lose here, but probably not get eliminated. Maybe even had a chance to win if that Ember Spirit had cast one last time. Nexus drops down to 5 HP. On the other hand, M Knight does take a win over Abnaside. This Scrappy build, which, as we said, typically lacks damage output, dealing with the healers quite well, but they do have the Deadeye bonus, and that is one good way of countering the healers is Deadeye bonus, because you can't get healed up if you're dead. And if you're just going to constantly be focus firing on the lowest health targets, they are probably going to die at some point. We also see that M. Night here is 1 away from a 3-star Tinker. I kind of want to check their shop and see if they can get the Tinker. They do not find it here. They still probably have at least another round to try to find it here. This Alchemist is holding the Shiva's Guard. I don't necessarily agree with his positioning. Oh, there we go. I was about to say, you want to put it closer to the middle because it does an AoE within 3 cells around it, so you want to put that AoE closer to the center rather than on the corner where some of that AoE is going to be wasted into the bushes, really. So, hey, if they get a 3-star Tinker here, it's anybody's game. 3-star Tinker does so much work. That is a huge Chrono Cube setting up the entire corner over here. The 3-star Ember Spirit does now have the Battle Fury, also looking pretty strong. If we see the damage output, actually it's the Queen of Pain really pulling the weight here. It does look like Nexus with the Assassins is going to survive one more turn, but so does M. Night. This is not going to deal a full 19 to them. Both of the 3-star Assassins do barely survive. And man, we've got a really close one. It seems like everybody has a chance to win against everybody else, depending on exactly how this all plays out. We do see Abnaside has a 2-star Troll Warlord that I think they just recently got. The 2-star Troll Warlord with a Moon Shard. Now, it's not quite as good as with a Mask of Madness because it can't heal himself up, but with as much other healing as there is in this build, you get a little bit of extra damage out of this Moon Shard, and a 2-star Troll Warlord is just going to absolutely demolish whoever he looks at. If he's not stunned, if he's not CC'd, whoever he starts attacking is going to die within just a few seconds, regardless of who it is. Does initially start attacking the Jull. Probably not the best target because that's probably the hardest one to take down quickly. Does get stunned up here. Does not retarget. Still's attacking this Jull, and then it stuns up again. Yeah, this Troll Warlord just never got off the Jull until it was way too late in this fight. I think if he was placed further back, he would have had a better chance of attacking one of the Assassins who jumped in, rather than just focus firing Jull. If we do damage taken, the opposing Jull took 2,600 from Troll Warlord, which, considering he had like plus 20 something armor, all that damage could have easily killed off like every other assassin. As I was talking so much about that, M. Night does unfortunately get eliminated in 3rd place at the hands of Abnaside. So no 3-star Tinker to be found there, and unfortunately we just came up a little bit short against that new and improved Troll Warlord. It turns out you may have good damage output with the Scrappies and the Deadeyes, but not quite as good as Troll Warlord. But in the meantime, we've got a 3-star Sven. I struggled to keep a straight face there while I finished that previous thought. That's a 3-star Sven, and I just want to see how much damage he does. I haven't seen a 3-star Sven outside of knockout mode in like a long time, and like when he casts God Strength, like he's hitting for 1,300, and then there's like that cleaves. Oh my! I mean, he's hitting hard. I don't know if he's hitting hard enough. Look at that damage output. He is hitting hard enough. Troll Warlord gets to clean up at the end here. Nice stun on the Ember Spirit, and Troll Warlord makes short work fit. Abnaside taking down the win with a 3-star Sven over some pesky assassins. What a finish here. Absolutely impressive showing from this Trolls and Knights and Healers build that I think was really empowered by the new version of Enno, the Healin' and Stealin' version of Enno. Really powered this build through the mid game when they were just looked absolutely unstoppable with the healers, the Enno healing, the Knight's debuff, or the Knight's damage reduction. This build seemed very strong and had a very strong late game transition into 2-star Troll Warlord and into Sven. So despite the fact they're playing some relatively lackluster 1-cost units, Enchantress, Shadow Shaman, Bat Rider by the end of the game, they more than made up for it with the Troll Warlord and Sven. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Alright, that was me just doing my normal outro for a video, because I think I'm going to clip that particular game and put it in its own separate video. So I just did the normal outro stuff. I'm not going anywhere until end of next game, at least. We got one more game in store for you here. Whew. What a game there, huh? That was crazy. With 3-star Sven coming at the end, dealing so much damage with his cleave. That was insanity. Oh, man. That was good. Hey, what's up, Isaiah? You're doing really bad in your group tonight? That's unfortunate. 4th, 6th, 8th, 8th. Ugh, that is kind of rough. Hey, Archon Academy. How have I been? I've been alright. I've been busy. I haven't got to make as much content or stream or make as many videos as I'd like over the past week. Been working on some side projects. Been working on just other things that have kept me busy. And despite how much I may ask, they still have not added more than 24 hours in the day. So, been doing pretty well, though, I'll say. I think I've been trying to keep my head above water with it. But a lot of exciting stuff. Obviously, we got a little bit of some spoiler alerts of the Underlord Season 1 coming up soon on the 25th. So in about 19 days, we'll be getting Season 1 of Underlords, where we'll... I think they've hinted at some of the new unit rotations. So that's going to be really exciting stuff. As well as new features. The City Crawl looked really cool. I didn't really look at it, but like the concept seems cool. I take it it's kind of like a single player campaign kind of mode. Anobin changed again? He got changed earlier today, yes. He got changed such that he just stuns people now with his ult. The Rabid Furball now just stuns instead of displacing them, which I'm a little upset about, I'm going to be honest. I kind of liked the displacement. I think people got an unfair assessment. I think he was unbalanced because he applied 5 stacks of poison, not because of the displacement. I think people like saw that, oh hey, I always lose after the displacement. Well, you actually lose because all your guys also had 5 stacks of poison on them. And they were displaced, whereas if they didn't have any stacks of poison, or just like 1 stack maybe, it would be a lot more manageable after you've been randomly displaced. And instead of people like cried about it and complained about it, when I don't think that was the real problem. I think the real problem was the poison stacks. So now we've got what I thought was a kind of cool design. What I thought was kind of a cool design with the all-out attack NO being really disrupted. And now just eliminated, now just like a boring stun. So, whatever. I still think NO is pretty cool. I like the changes to the healing version of NO though. I think it made him a lot more viable, the healing version of NO. In fact, both of the past 2 games we just cast, they're both won by the healing version of NO. Both with fairly different builds, one with Scrappy build and one... God, I'm blanking already. What did we just see win? Knights Healers, that's it. God. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. I'm already blanking on what we just watched. Looks like we've lost a player. Just out of 6 here. And now Lustriel's not ready. Uh-oh. Yeah, hopefully we can get this sorted out sooner rather than later. Oh, it looks like I have a side count back. Okay. Just disconnected temporarily. Alright, on to the final game of the night. Here in the ESL Mobile Open. The closed qualifiers for the ESL Mobile Open. We already went through the open qualifiers for the Mobile Open. Open and closed. And of course we still have Declan bot, our, well, not still, but we do have our friendly resident bot Declan here, who's starting off with a little bit of a mage composition. Meantime, we see a lot of savages coming out. That's something I haven't really seen too much of. Not too many like savage focused builds. I'm a big fan of like savage warlocks. I think that they're a really strong combo, but I've not really seen too much in this particular set of matches here. This double razor just shredded people. Oh my goodness. The Enchantress Heal does like basically its full work though, and this Venomancer is gonna win. He's hitting for plus 110 damage. That was a 1v3 with the Venomancer. Venomancer literally just 1v3'd here. I mean, you know, he got a little bit of help from the Enchantress Heal to keep him up at the very end. But that was impressive. 1v3 in Venomancer. Savages. Savages are good. 3 people already have the Savage Alliance. 3 real people. Shouldn't count Declan bot. Who doesn't have savages? But I wouldn't count him anyway. A little bit stronger of a front line here with the Chaos Knight now and opting for Trolls and Knights. Instead, I think that's a fair swap. Much tankier. A little bit lower damage output, but much tankier to make up for it here. There's a 2-star Shadow Shaman on the other side, though. I don't think that's going to be strong enough. Excuse me, I don't think the 1-star Shadow Shaman is going to be strong enough. Next is probably going to take a loss here, but I kind of like their positioning, or their state of the game, not really their positioning, but the pair of Legion commanders on the bench is like really good. It's like so good, actually. If they get a free reroll here for losing, they might actually win. Oh, it's going to be a tie. Oh no, it was going to be a tie! It was going to be, and then he got one more cast off. They both just autoed instead. That would have been a tie. That would have been disastrous. Taking that loss is probably advantageous because they're going to get a chance to get a 2-star Legion Commander here. Boom! There's a 2-star Legion Commander. Alright, that was so insane. Like, yeah, just sell all that stuff and get level up, put in a 2-star Legion. That's insane. 2-star Legion on round 3? That is like the most worth thing ever. They have a free reroll, but 0 gold to spend. So now you just like reroll and just like maybe hope to lock for something. This Legion Commander's not going to win a duel. She might win a duel here, actually. She hits actually so hard. Oh my goodness, that was insane. Alright, I think Nexus won the game already. Is that too early to call? Is that too early to say somebody's won the game on round 3? It's probably too early. But I want them to win now. Just because they got a 2-star Legion. Ooh, there's a 2-star Bloodbound builder here. Mr. Warlock. Maybe a 2-star Bloodseeker with Bloodbound and like Deadeye with Sniper. That could be really good. Hey, is there one person with a 3-star Axe and Ogre? on round 12. Wow. That is above average, I'll say. I'd say that is decidedly well above average, yes. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how you beat that one. Alright, so, well, Ziggy is still undefeated with no 2 stars to speak of. Of course, I am favoring Nexus because they do have the 2-star Legion Commander, but was running Savages, just a real testament to how strong Savages are just on their own merit here. Running Savages plus Druids plus Trolls. Trolls and Savages, obviously a great combo to get those more stacks going. But it's kind of hard because you got a 1-star Tusk who's not that tanky. I guess he does have that evasion, but still, that's not a lot to hang your hat on. Finally, Enchantress gets her heal off, but it's a little bit late. I do think they're going to win, though. They're pretty much up against a mirror match, and they don't have the Savage bonus, and also has a 2-star Shadow Shaman. So, I think that's going to be in favor of Ziggy here. This Enchantress is just going to let them stay at 100% HP this whole time. Very impressive stuff here. For this Enchantress build, despite only having a single 2-star, the Shadow Shaman, this is so powerful at the moment. I feel like the Stonehill Pike's got to be a pick, right? There's a good number of kills, especially if you're already on a win streak. You're going to be probably getting even more kills. Opts for Vanguard instead. I guess I can see that because that's a huge survivability increase at this point. Like, really huge over Talisman of Evasion, which scales better into the late game, but Vanguard's so much better now. So I can see it. I can see that pick. Just trying to keep this win streak going. That's really what Ziggy is prioritizing here with that pickup. Healers are coming together? You mean in this game or in your game, Vincente? Ooh, that's a 4-staff. 4-staff on Clockwork. That's not something you see too terribly often. Oh, it's Declan bot. Never mind. I was like, ooh, who's picking 4-staff? Ah, the bot. The bot's picking it. Of course they are. Of course they are. Sorry, a little tired. Yawn in a bit. Alright, so Ziggy does opt to level up, trying to really keep this win streak together. Levels up at a rather inefficient time, but had saved up gold so efficiently so far that it doesn't actually even cost them any interest. It's a turn before most players level up to 5, and so that's going to almost certainly ensure another win. That's something that I do a lot when it's like, I'm just going to play really aggressively. Like, you just level up aggressively, just knowing that yes, I can get a win. I can definitely get a win streak here if we just level up, just forsake the interest and just level. It's often a pretty good strat. May cost you 1 gold, but it saves you life total and gets you more win streak gold and also deals damage to your opponent. So it seems really good. 7-round win streak here. Now is going to be the tough test because everyone's going to level up to 5 on this next turn. And so what does Ziggy do to kind of keep pace? Does Ziggy level up to 6? Or... because there's no upgrades to be found on the board. Are they rerolling? Or buying? I think it was they were rerolling. I think they must have rerolled. That makes sense because you have so many pairs. Pair Bat Rider, Enchantress, the Tusk. Makes a lot of sense to reroll there. Some players may just opt to level up and just throw in a Venomancer or somebody. That would have also been fine. I think I probably would have leaned towards leveling up, just because it's more consistent. And it doesn't feel like you're wasting gold if you're leveling up. because like you're gonna level up at some point anyway. But it feels like you're wasting gold if you reroll. Because like, what if you just don't find what you need? Of course, they did find what they needed, at least something, and does get the win streak completed. So big influx of gold anyway. So Ziggy looking really strong right now. Of course, I did predict that Nexus would win the game. Let's hop over to their perspective and see how many kills this Legion Commander has. 48 damage on a Legion Commander already. 48 is really good at this point in the game. I've seen some people like not get a Legion Commander until like round like 13 or 14 or 16. And obviously it's much weaker than 48 bonus damage on round 9. So yeah, still definitely looking at this Legion Commander to really take over the game come mid and late game, but you know, Ziggy has a lot of gold to work with at the moment. Legion Commander even gets another dual win here, up to 56. I'm loving the late game potential of this Legion Commander. Just loving it. Even if they take, they're gonna get a win here, but even if they did take a loss, I would still be loving how good the Legion Commander is looking. Forensic going for scrappies again. Man, I feel like these players just really have their tendencies. Forensic goes for scrappies. Cost Blue goes for mages. Okay, they're not going for mages now. Avacine, or Abnecide goes for Healer Knights / Legion Commander. I feel like these players are somewhat predictable. I guess we've been playing a lot of games together, so it kind of makes sense that they become a bit predictable. Nobody really looking at Assassins other than Declan Bot, who doesn't really count. But Assassins could be the big counter to a lot of these builds here. We've seen Assassins do very well when they are played, but of course they often rely on getting those 3-star units, which are inconsistent to say the least. Still a close one. This Eno is just like really messing up all this healing from this Enchantress. Looks like the Abnecide Eno is going to get the better end of this. It's close though. This Enchantress was doing like most healing and most damage, but her healing got substantially cut because there's so many poison stacks up. And that's one of the big appeals of Eno, is he really counters a lot of healing compositions. Alright, so we've got 2 players that I think are really far ahead of everybody. Nexus and Ziggy. Obviously Ziggy's undefeated, running this kind of Savage build that I said right at the start. I think I wanted to see more Savages being played. I think Savages are an underrated alliance right now. They seem very strong, especially if a lot of people are focused on healing effects. If people want to be playing a lot of healing, then fights are going to go long, and Savages are really good in those cases. Especially if, like, so many people are picking Eno now. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 players have picked Eno? 2 on Jol? No, 5 on Eno. Sorry, I'm bad at counting. 5 Eno, 2 Jol. 1 Hog in his Nexus spot. No Nesix to be found. That's unusual. I think healing support in Nesix is still really good. But of course, this version of Eno is... well, both versions of Eno. Really making his mark shown. I think honestly that the balance of the Underlords is in really good shape. All of the Underlords seem really good. Sand King top DPS. Man, that's not something you see all the time. A 1-star Sand King, like by far top DPS in this build. That is honestly kind of unusual. Because he doesn't seem like a top DPS kind of guy. But I guess Burrow Strike hits everybody for 150 plus That's not that much. Is it? Maybe it is. It just feels like he just deals so much. I'm like trying to watch this thing as it ticks up. See where all that damage comes from. I guess in this fight, insects are going to be doing the bulk of the work here. Oh, this is Ziggy vs Nexus, my other choice to win the game. Looks like Ziggy is going to take us down, continue this win streak, but only barely. But that's all you need. Yeah, this Savage build against an opposing slow and steady Knights kind of comp. I think this is a great choice in the current meta. The meta that's kind of developed around this particular lobby of lots of Knight healers, lots of scrappies, not a lot of mages or assassins. I think this is a great pick, given the way these games so far have played out. And I think that kind of level of adaptation is really important if you're playing a multiple game set with the same people. You're really identifying like what their tendencies are and where they're going to be favoring to go towards. And I think that, and then identifying opportunities for you to kind of exploit that and kind of one-up them. I think that's an important part. Ziggy is going to take a loss here. No perfect game to be had. Going up against Frenzic's Scrappy Hunters, who we kind of knew that Frenzic always goes for Scrappy Hunters. So, not a big surprise there, but a little bit of a surprise to see them hitting a big power spike at this point, especially when they don't have that many 2-stars. They just have the Drow Ranger and the Weaver to 2-star. Very interesting. Does it have a 2-star Abaddon here to add in? I didn't even know where you had that. You swap out the insects? No. Your insects was your highest damage dealer. Swap out that Omni Knight. What the heck is Omni Knight doing for you? Oh, okay. I guess getting your healers and Heartless now. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I didn't notice they had that. Still, I definitely would have swapped out the Omni Knight. I want to keep insects in, because this build now lacks damage output. I guess it does have... It only has 3 savages. What happened to the 4th savage? Who was the 4th savage? Venomancer, right? Yeah. I feel like this build got a lot worse over the past couple turns here. It's not something you typically say about a build leveling up and putting new units in, is that it got worse. But I kind of think it did. I think this build got markedly worse. The swap away from 4 savages. Unless it goes to a draw here, it looks like they're going to take a loss. Another loss. 2 rounds in a row. Abnaside taking the win there. Running the 4 Knights, 2 Dragons. Actually has Dragon Knight and Viper. Viper also seems really strong in the meta right now, with a lot less people going for Dragon Knight after it's been nerfed a couple of times. It's still a pretty good unit. Viper and Dragon Knight have both been nerfed a handful of times, but I think what that really means is that just like
Let's work together.
Scrappies no longer go for it. Scrappies no longer go for dragons. Is like the big takeaway from that. Like, Knights are still going to go for dragons. Assassins still go for dragons, but Scrappies don't. What that does mean is that now there's more dragons available for other builds. I think that's really impactful. I think that the odds of getting a 2-star Dragon Knight being improved is like a huge bonus to builds that want to run Dragon Knight. To the point where I'm like really happy to play him. Alright, this Legion Commander build is getting pretty insane. She already has plus 96 damage. on round 15. And there's Lustrious also going Legion Commander, but let's see what they're up to. 16. Yeah, about that. Which would you take? It's like you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. 16 bonus damage versus 96 bonus damage. One of these is much stronger than the other. I know which side I'd rather be on.
Now is our moment.
I just don't want to watch this Legion Commander build just go crazy. She's about to like just one-shot some people. Yeah, maybe not that much. What I also find a little bit interesting too is that this Legion Commander build is not opted for an Essex. In the past I would have said an Essex is kind of like required for Legion Commander builds. But here we see them not going for it, opting instead for Eno. To me, that might be an overreaction to the fact that Eno's been looking so strong recently in these past couple games. I mean, I do think he's strong, but I think the additional demons provided by an Essex, both from her companion and from the Golem summon, are far more impactful for a Legion Commander comp. A comp that is going to be carried by Legion Commander, especially if it's all-out attack Eno, Rabid Furball. If it was Healin' and Stealin' Eno with Knights, I guess I could see it, because I think he's a little bit more powerful right now. Healin' and Stealin' version.
This is our redemption.
But still, I feel like I wanted to take an Essex. Because especially because you already knew you were running Legion Commander. They already had like a 40-some damage Legion Commander by round 9. They knew they were going to play Legion Commander. It was going to happen. I kind of wanted to take an Essex, regardless of which version. Alright, so Declan Bot's just about to get eliminated, but also Lustriel is looking a little bit worse for wear here, down to 28 life with a little bit of a scattered comp with three brutes and three savages. Not necessarily the best of combos. Now it's even worse though, it's only 2 brutes and 3 savages. I feel like this particular build, without any way to really disrupt this Knight's formation, is just going to get absolutely overrun. Up against Avnicide, who does have the Necrophos, who just leaves the whole team topped off. This whole team like is literally at full HP at the end of this fight. That's crazy. Necrophos, man. Remember, there was a time when Necrophos was a Warlock, and he was the best unit in the game? There's been a few units that have been best units in the game at certain times. Like, undisputed best units in the game.
I will show them why I am feared.
And a long time ago, it was Necrophos. A longer time ago, it was Kunkka. Then it became Treant Protector much more recently. I don't know if there's been other like undisputed best units in the game to the level that Necrophos, Kunkka, and Treant were in their respective primes. Tiny was probably up there at one point.
I do not need
maybe not best in the game like total, because like he obviously falls off at some point, but like he was so dominant when he was good. Like so dominant in the early game. Pudge definitely was, yeah. Pudge was also among the best units in the game at one point, right after the big update. Fortunately, Lustriel does get knocked out in 7th place here. This build just never really quite came together. A little bit scatterbrained in what it was trying to do between the Savages and the Champions, and didn't really achieve as much efficiency as it would have liked to. Yeah. Yeah, Pudge was another best unit in the game. I'm struggling to think of other ones that were like just so head and shoulders above everybody else. These are the ones I can really think of. There have been units that have been like really strong, but like never best unit in the game. Nothing like, I'm thinking like damage dealers like Slark, Phantom Assassin, Beastmaster. I don't think they ever quite rose to that level. They were just like good, but they never like were the highest of highs here. Caster Curse in them. Cost Blue. Knocked out in 6th. Move over to M Knight. He's probably gonna be the lowest health target now. Just based on pure current health total. Yeah. How much HP does this Sand King has? 17 HP. Crazy. Arc Warden definitely. Oh man, how did I forget about Arc Warden? I feel like I blocked Arc Warden out of my memory. How did I forget about Arc Warden? Yes. Hey, what's up, Modnar? How you doing? How's the casting? The casting's going pretty well. We've had, this is our final game of the day. I'll admit I'm starting to lose a little bit of my luster here by the end of the day. But that's kind of to be expected after 5 games in a row. 4 games in a row because I missed game 1 because of technical difficulties, but no matter. We had 4 really good games. But it's a bit of a marathon to cast 5 games in a row. Even 4. So yeah. It's been going well though. It's been going well. Had some really interesting games. We've seen a shift from in the opening games, like no one was playing NO in the first game I cast. Like not a single player picked NO. And now in this game, everybody who's still alive has an NO. So it's like 5 out of the 7 players picked it, and the 2 who didn't got eliminated first. We've seen like a shift in the meta over these couple of hours. How do I feel about NO? Well, some people asked me that before the game, and I said I don't really know, because he has been changing so much, and I haven't got a chance to play too terribly much in the past couple of days. I just have been busy with some other projects, and I just admittedly have not had a lot of time the past couple of days to play as much as I would have liked. So I didn't really know how to take it. I think NO is really good. I think NO is very good in either form. The Yoink ability is better than I think I gave it credit for. I think it's been adjusted slightly, and now Yoink is... I mean, I still think it's weaker than all-out attack, but that's because NO's Soothing Balm is better than Death Spin. So I think NO is really good. That's the bottom line. I think NO is good. I would pick him quite highly in either configuration. Whether it be like in either configuration and in most builds. If you're running like super specific builds, I guess, like Legion Commander builds, I still think that an Essex is really important. Mages, I think Hobkin, especially high damage Hobkin, is strong. Assassins, I think Jull is good. But like in general, I like him. I would be happy picking him blind, not knowing what my comp is, and not knowing what the version of Eno is. If you told me you just have to pick Eno no matter what, no, yeah, alright. It's fine. I can live with it. You know, and that's not something I could say about like any other Underlord right now. Except maybe an Essex, but even then, doubtful. Alright. Now we're down to 4. Now we're down to 4. Seems like Ziggy and Nexus are just annoyed with this game. Ziggy obviously had a massive win streak to start the game. Nexus, I already predicted would win the game on round 3 when they had a 2-star Legion Commander on round 3. So, yeah, well, we're going to see them face off against each other, see which one currently has the edge. I think Legion Commander has the edge, but that's just me personally. I always think Legion Commander has the edge, though. Yeah, gee, get the dual win. 160 damage. Oh boy. Okay, maybe she doesn't have the edge here. She's about to go down. Now she's a chicken. It's not good. The healing is just absurd. And the damage is just absurd. Healing was like non-existent because they both had... Oh, because they didn't have healing, I know. They just had a weak Necrophos and a weak Dazzle. Yeah. I feel like the Legion Commander is so strong, but... without like the healing to back it up, like look how much healing they did. 2,500, 1,000 from Dazzle, 7,800 from Eno, 4,000 from a 3-star Nature's Prophet or Enchantress. Got Nature's Prophet. Yeah, I think healing Eno is really good. Maybe even the best right now. I kind of put him a little bit lower on my recent tier list over on QHL. I put him at, I think, at the bottom of tier 1. I think I would easily move him up a tier based on my experience here today. Easily move him up a tier. Legion Commander lost a duel! Lost a duel to the Broodmother. She was locked in the duel and then got assassinated. She missed like every attack too. Broodmother didn't have any evasion, just the spiders. Oh, this is not looking great. Every opponent has a healing Eno right now. Against, like, I predicted Nexus would win, but every opponent has a healing Eno. And I don't think that's a good matchup if you don't have enough of your own healing. Necrophos and Dazzle, both 1-star. Abnasine gets eliminated here. Who probably benefits Ziggy and Nexus, who are both running kind of a Knights comp. So a little bit more of those Knights and Trolls and Healers come back into the pool. Forensic has already eliminated the other scrappy players, so he's kind of have free roam here. But like, Ziggy's gonna win, right? 94 life on Ziggy. How can they not lose from here? Or how can they not win? I mean, like they just don't need to do anything for the next like 3 or 4 rounds. And they at least lock in top 2, and then they need to figure out how to eliminate the last player. This build just seems so strong. There's the Ghost of Nexus, which probably means somebody on the other board either gets eliminated or gets a big hit. The way these fights have been going, that all-out attack kind of hurts, reduces the healing output, but there's no follow-up. Yeah, it hurts everybody and reduces their healing, but they don't need healing because they're not taking damage. Yeah, Ziggy just crushes Nexus. Forensic also crushes Nexus. My round 3 prediction may not be true. That'll teach me to predict the game on round 3. Those are your experience in Standard as well. Yoink players top regardless of comp. It does seem really good. I feel like the Yoink effect is not quite as impactful. It's just the healing. The healing from Eno is just absurd. It's constant, non-stop healing. Not death spin. It literally took me that long to realize I wasn't looking at Dr. Eno's Soothing Balm. Yeah, just every 3 seconds heals the most injured for 60. And then the second most injured for 30, 15, every 3 seconds. It just seems so good. Yeah, they just don't die, especially when you're already running knights and healers, because the healers are going to amplify it. And the knights are going to have massive damage reduction. They have 44% damage reduction on them when they're nice and stacked up. It's like, how do you ever kill these things? You don't. Nexus gets eliminated. Forensic is about to get eliminated here. Ziggy. Knights healers with healing Eno. It's just the best comp in the meta. So good. Not even close. 24-2. Wow. What a showing. Alright. Yoink Eno. Really good. Really good. Not the Yoink. The Yoink is very low impact. The healing. Healing what does it. Alright. That's the game. And that's the game, boys. What a good... I guess the party got disbanded. Huh. Well, anyway, that was the end of the round. So, good stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the ESL Mobile Open with me. This was the first week of the closed qualifiers. I will be back next week with the second week of the closed qualifiers as well. I'll be pulling one of these games to form its own video coming up on my channel probably tomorrow sometime. I'm going to try to get a little bit more of my regular gameplay content out in the next couple days, but I am quite busy, so I don't know how much of that, and I probably won't be streaming with my own gameplay anytime soon. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I will see you next time. Have a nice night, everyone. Much love.